record button, and we are live.
Ooh.
Welcome to the second session of the Book of the North. I am your Dungeon Master, Ed Kahn. I've been playing. We're supposed to do introductions, so we'll just go around really quickly, say one little thing about ourselves and one little thing about our characters, even if it's just your character name or whatever. I've been DMing since 1978 and started with these early editions of the rules. The boys got to roll up characters today with 3d6 on note cards, which is kind of how I started out. So it's pretty fun to have them going through that now too. Sebastian, you want to say hi and a little tiny bit about yourself and your dude?
Yeah. So I'm Sebastian. I'm tall, and I'm playing Iron Toe the Dwarf.
Awesome. All right, Alex, you want to say hello, a little bit about yourself and your character?
Yeah. I'm Alexander. Everyone calls me Alex. I forgot to spell how to spell Alexander one time, and my character is Old Man Witherspoon, who is missing an entire arm.
Awesome. And he's a fighter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No shields or two-handed weapons for me.
No shields, two-handed weapons, or bows for you. There you go. All right, Liam, what you got?
Well, my name's Liam, and I'm a big Fritz Leiber fan. I like sword and sorcery, and I'm playing a half-elf by the name of Lathan.
Awesome. All right, Wyvern.
All right, I'm angling for an XP bonus here. I just want to say, Ed, you have the sweetest kids. I'm glad that they joined us for the adventure today.
Thanks.
I'm DM Wyvern, and I am playing a murderous half-orc named Gurak the Knight.
Awesome. Don't turn your back on Gurak. All right, next we have Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Mahaney, and my character is Graydon the Druid of the Ragged Cloak. And something about myself, well, I love old school D&D, and I've been playing it since the early 80s, and I'm so excited to play in this campaign.
Well, thanks. Well, welcome everybody. In the last session, we had returned to the caves underneath the city of Bolgrad, which is the capital of the little petty kingdom of Ostvik in the far regions of the north. And the characters had been just beginning to scope out what might be in those caves. They know there are legends that some very important events happened in those caverns long ago that have to do with the elves and the decline of the elves. They know that the generations of northern kings that have ruled this kingdom from Ostvik, many of them are interred in burials down in those caves or in catacombs beneath those caves. And so there's several, hopefully profitable reasons to go and explore those areas and kind of make their mark as adventurers. Meanwhile, they've heard a few different rumors. They've heard that the owner of the Giant Crown Inn down the Sworn Ride to the north over towards the main road has been missing for some time. They've heard that there was a fire at the small village of Langerklif, which is down the southern slope of the Cunning Tor where Bolgrad is at, perhaps 6 or 7 miles away from the city on the edge of Lake Goldemere. And so those are some of the things that they've learned about recently. So let's see. Wyvern, any thoughts? Why don't you? You're pretty good at getting conversations going and facilitating that in group. Do you mind kind of continuing in that role and kind of touching base with everybody, getting everybody kind of going in what direction you all want to go?
Yeah, sure. So where is the adventure starting off? Are we back at the Black Pilgrim?
Yeah, you are back at the Black Pilgrim.
All right, well, why don't we start off by how we've met these additional party members? I'm not going to metagame that. Would you like to start that off for us?
Sure. We're going to go ahead and handle it kind of how we've handled the last couple of games. It's been a few days since your last adventure. Alexander, I just lost your connection. maybe his computer, I think, just timed out. So at any rate, it's been a couple days since your last adventure, and these are some new individuals who've arrived at the Black Pilgrim. That you're curious about. You always kind of scope out the new people in the surroundings and who are they and what are they up to. And Iron Toe the dwarf is a clanless dwarf. He's not really coming forward with telling you too much about his folk. He says it's a tale not really worth hearing, and it's just a sad tale. And he's finished with sad tales, and now he wants to make his own legend and adventure out into the world and make a name for himself just on his own. And Old Man Witherspoon relates that he's from the south. He's from the region called the Dragon's March, and that he is a retired fighter. He's been in retirement for quite a while now, so maybe some of his fighting skills have gotten a little bit rusty. And he built a longhouse in the village of Langerklif about 10 years ago, and has been living off of his pay as a soldier in the lands of the south in Langerklif, retired, until a week ago his house burned down. He's not sure if it's those pesky northerners, who are so standoffish to outsiders, who were somehow responsible for burning his house down. But his house and 2 other longhouses burned down all in the same night, and he's suspicious that it wasn't an accident, that somehow foul play is involved. But he can't really tell you. He doesn't really have a lot of clues or really a lot of information about it. So he's had to move to the inn temporarily with all of his worldly goods, which is basically what he's wearing, and a little bit of gold, to try to rebuild his life.
All right. Well, that's a really good setup. All right. I'm not going to do an accent because I don't want to kill my vocal cords.
No problem.
Doing these adventure sessions, but Gurak brings the party together at the Black Pilgrim and explains to them that there are several compelling reasons for us to go check out what happened at Langerford. Gurak knows that one of our magic users, Jagard, has an interest, has a mission there. Actually, was given a mission, and that combined with the invalid who's joined our party, sort of pushes us in that direction. So maybe the caverns will have to wait for another day. But that's Garak's suggestion here. What does the party think?
Liam, do you want to pull in Jagger and just play 2 characters for this session, and so that he can go along and do the investigation?
I think he
Yeah, I
should.
think it's a good idea.
Okay. That pesky heretic wizard is off doing something else, so at least you'll be free of his presence.
Well, in that case, actually, probably Jagger should kick this all off. Since we're bringing him back into the session. The floor is yours, Liam.
Will,
Do you like how he did that? Here.
let me get my accent right, all right? Hang on. All right, so I've gathered you here today because I've been sent on a mission. I can't promise you any pay, but you might find something of interest there. I have a good feeling. So, who's interested?
As long as I can loot whoever we kill, I'm fine with that, says Garak.
Absolutely can. Sold.
As long as I have more than 1 gold in my pocket, I'm good. Currently, that is not the case.
Meaning the dwarf hopes to increase his treasure to at least double the 1 gold he has.
Well, tell you what. I'll pay you a gold if you'll come with us.
Sold. Let's do this.
Old man Witherspoon, he's proposing that you return to Langerklif and investigate the cause of the fires, which is perfect for you. You kind of want to know who burned your house down.
Heck, let's do this.
All right, Tom, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. There may be some other poor victims of the fire that need our assistance.
Awesome. All right, so you gather yourselves up. Um, the boys already are geared with what they can afford or carry on their person, as far as they have food, they have water, they have, supplies. Um, I know that Liam, one of your characters picked up a dagger. Does anybody need anything before you leave the inn?
Normally, I would say a drink, but I can't afford that right now.
Okay. All right. So you guys step outside as a group, step outside of the Black Pilgrim. You find yourself out on the Muddy Way. It's another cool later morning here in the north. A large gray cloud passes over the sun, sending everything into sort of an overcast and shadow across the whole village. The wind gusts now, and it feels a bit colder. The wind blowing across the cunning tor carries with it the faint and distant smell of snow.
Looks like we're in for a change of weather.
Dang, my knees will be bad.
Yeah, you can feel it in your knees, Midnight Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Your hip and your stump. You feel it mostly in your stump.
Mhm.
Is kind of sore. It aches.
Gonna be a bad winter.
Yes.
Iron Toe will ask Witherspoons if he sometimes tries to use his not actually their hand.
No, I am perfectly accustomed to not using my arm. And like I move my stump as though I would be gesturing with that arm.
That's awesome. All right, you head west down the Muddy Way, and you pass a large, heavy-set man chopping and gutting fish. He's using a big iron cleaver, and his block is just a stump that he's set out in front of his house. Next door, an elderly woman sits on a bench outside her door. She kind of pulls her shawl more tightly around herself, and looks up at the sky. And Alexander, your character noticed that she rubs her knees also, kind of feeling the change in the weather. She goes back to pulling the feathers out of a dead chicken.
Scrumptious.
All right. You continue on down the way. You pass the chapter house building on the right and the gallows. You continue on into a small, muddy marketplace that is currently closed. Market days are at the end of the third week of the month. And so next week, towards the end of the month, you'll have market days. You'll have people from the outlying villages and stuff here, and it'll get quite busy in this area, people selling different goods. But at least for now, it's just quiet and empty. You continue on down the road, and it starts to curve around to the left, which is sort of the southwest corner of the city. And on your right, you see the almost out of the place next to the castle, which looks like it belongs in a completely different country. It's like you're in Viking Norway with longhouses, except there's a French, military castle that's been dropped in on this place. It's quite old and battered. That's the architecture there. This building looks like almost a provincial style architecture. It has a iron fence around it. It has little guardhouses like you'd expect to see British troopers guarding the Queen. These little small houses. But the soldiers there are wearing kind of a mix of plate armor, which is odd for this area, and chain. They are carrying halberds with them, and they have sort of that striped outfit that German mercenaries during the musket and pike age would wear. That sort of thing, and big fluffy oversized hats in bright colors. All of them have on their chest a symbol that looks like a ship's wheel, and this huge building behind them is a 3-story tall brick building with a stone block foundation looks very, very wealthy and heavily guarded. And that is the Free Merchants Guild from the Duchy of Rorgan, who arrived here along with the Temple of the Everflame and the Pentagarchy Wizards. They're the foreign merchants guild in this area. So the soldiers watch you carefully as you pass them. You come to this ramshackle wooden gate that's been built into a hole where there used to be a proper stone gatehouse. And a couple of soldiers watch you, or militia members watch you, and two familiar militia members are standing there warming themselves over a metal barrel that's got a fire in it, and they greet you as you walk up. Hi, it's our friends from the other side of the town. What do you look, Bill? Look, don't you recognize some of them? And Bill goes, oh, yes, there they are. Looks like they're going to head out into the rest of the area and do some exploring. How are you gentlemen today? Can the city militia do anything for you?
It's Bill and Ted.
Bill and Warren. Be excellent to each other. So you continue out, I suppose?
Well, Garrock says, hey there, and he hails Bill and Warren and says that the healing potions that he bought from them last time, come in handy. Do they have any additional goodies for the party before we leave the city?
Oh, no. They look at each other and they like kind of go like this. No. I don't know what you're talking about. You see there are other guards kind of standing around there, and these small footsteps across on one of the catwalks above this gate, which seems to be sort of the militia headquarters for the town. And there's this very proud-looking halfling up there, halfling man, and kind of looks down at Bill and Warren and goes, "Hey, no slouching on the job, you." And they go, yes, Captain. Salute up at him.
All right, Garrock shrugs and passes them by.
All right. So you walk down on this kind of dirt road to where there's a ditch that's been dug around the town. And it's just kind of filled with mud and reeds and what you would suspect would build up in there over time. It's not really a proper moat. It's just a shallow, muddy ditch, okay? And it's got a wood plank bridge that goes over it. It's only about 30 feet long. And then it goes out onto this place called the Sworn Ride, which is a packed dirt road and gravel that goes in a circle all the way around the city, but also has a branch that goes down to the southwest towards Langerklif. And off in the distance, you can even see the shimmering surface of the lake in that direction. And then it goes up to the north towards the King's Ride. Although those places are quite distant, the only thing you can really see from this area is on the hill is the surface of the far edge of the lake. Langerklif is at least 5 or 6 miles away, and 3 of that is just walking down the side of the Cunning Tor to give you an idea of just how huge that hill is. And then to the north, you'd have to walk 3 or 4 miles before you were off the Cunning Tor and then getting close to the main road.
I've seen better moats in the desert.
All right. Let's see. All right, so this is the you don't have to map this if you don't want, but this is in the first mile of path. Are you going to stay on the path, or are you going to cut overland?
Actually, is there any kind of carriage service that we could hire?
Not that you know of.
Okay.
Want to ask Bill and Warren really quick?
It's a good idea.
No. I'm sad to say, no carriages. Now, on a market day, you could probably convince one of the farmers to let you ride in the back of their cart up and down the hill. or maybe even hire a horse. But on a regular day like such as this one, unless you have a horse of your own.
All right.
Iron Toe will turn to the group and ask, "So, how much is a horse?"
A lot.
Not worth it.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to say that you're going to walk towards Langerklif. For now, you're on the road. If you want to divert from the road, if you go uphill, there's about a half mile to a mile before you reach the city wall, which I'm considering to be open fields, okay? And then if you go down the hill, it's right in this area, it's open fields as well. And then if you go straight ahead, it's on the path headed towards Langerklif. So in the first mile away from the gate, you see the foundation of an old building sitting in the grassy slope nearby. The stone foundation is thick, at least 5 feet thick and in a square 40 feet on a side. Nothing remains of what it might have been. The black remnants of an old campfire sits atop the stones. It's kind of just right off the road. Anybody want to do anything? You just keep going.
Are there any, like, bags or anything valuable looking near the campfire?
Do you want to go, you want to walk off the road, cross through some of the tall grass and climb up onto the foundation and kind of kick around the campfire?
Yeah, I'll just say, there might be some things there. We might want to check it out.
All right. Go ahead and roll a D6 for search for me. What'd you roll?
4.
Okay. How long do you want to? If you haven't found anything yet, how long do you want to keep looking around?
Not that long. Don't want to keep everyone waiting.
Does anybody else want to take a quick look around, or you want to just keep going?
I'll have a look.
All right.
I'll definitely have a look too. Just so you guys know, the chances of us actually rolling and finding something are very, very slim. Like, I think, looking at my character sheet, I have a spot of like 1 and 1d6. So the more people doing the same action, the better off we are.
Yep.
All right. I got a 5.
Okay. Is this the elf looking?
Yeah.
All right.
Should I go ahead and roll 2?
Yeah.
D6?
Yep.
I got a 4.
All right. Roll percentile dice on the useless items list there, Liam.
All right. I got an 87.
Awesome. Interesting. You find a broken collar. It's what's weird about it is that it's made out of iron, has some strange symbols on it that you don't recognize, and it looks quite old. It looks like there was an original seam used to weld the collar shut on, you're guessing, you're hoping maybe an animal, but it could have fit on a person. And that over time, the seam of the weld has just worn out and finally opened up. There's a ring on the back where a chain would be attached. That ring is very worn out, like something was chained to it and had wrestled against that chain for a very long time.
All right. I'm going to inform the others of this finding, and this looks ominous, don't you think?
Just out of curiosity, how thick is that chain, Ed?
The chain that would have gone on it, you're thinking would be, about this big and as thick as my fingers.
Whoa, something big was hooked onto that.
And the collar is like as big as 4 of my fingers wide,
Wow.
and large enough to go around a person's neck. or maybe the arm of a large beast, or the neck of a beast.
That's
Obvious.
full-size manacles right there.
I wonder if this is a relic from the Nightshade Wars.
That's some strange.
Iron Toe will say, obviously, someone lost their dog.
You dwarves have strange dogs.
When Iron Toe says that, the wind kicks up a little bit, and you all feel a chill go through you. Like, that was a funny joke, but not really. Sort of ominous.
I think we better leave this here.
All right, you continue on down the path. You are now 2 miles away from the gate, a mile away from the wall, and about 4 miles away from Langerklif. The ground here dips in a long, slow, but steady descent, dropping at least 40 feet overall and covering a distance of a quarter mile before rising back again. Some years ago, this area looks like it was completely washed out in a mudslide. The road has been repaired since, but only by repacking the road and adding more gravel and that sort of stuff. So you can just kind of still see the washout. You do notice that as you follow the trail now down through this washed out area, that you have a very sheer limestone cliff on your left, and you see a lot of rocks, big rocks and boulders just kind of sticking out of the side of that cliff. Some of them are down on the road, some of them are down the hill. That's what you see.
We need to be careful here.
Being careful is for humans. I say we go straight through, and then I start walking straight through.
All right, Sebastian, you got percentile dice?
Yeah.
Roll me percentile dice.
93.
All right, you're fine.
Well, if it was that easy, then I'll walk across.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Laden ground swallow. All right, not everybody. So who wants to roll for the whole rest of the party? Since the dwarf went on his own. Liam, you want to roll for the party? Okay, just percentile roll.
Sure. Red is 10s, black is 1s. Here we go.
Okay.
28.
All right, you're fine. That cliff and those rocks overhead do look a little ominous. You are a little concerned. And the dwarves, dwarf, you realize that, at any minute, one of those boulders could just fall out of the side of that hill and roll down on top of you, especially if you make a lot of noise. Because, you know a lot about rocks and that sort of
It's
thing.
perfectly fine. Don't say anything.
Nothing to see here. All right. All right, here the trail starts to curve a little bit up ahead, and now you're kind of on a very steep top of the hill, and then way, way, way down at the bottom of the hill. We're talking about over a mile away. You can see some smoke rising above the tree line down there. There's some scrubby trees at the edge of the lake. You can't quite make out the village yet, but you can start to see some of the smoke coming out of the village's fires. Let's see. Where'd that go? All right, here you smell something dead.
Ooh.
Up ahead, the trail continues and enters an area of light woods. You'll still be technically on a path, but you'll have trees kind of crouching on each side, fir trees and some different types of northern oaks and things like that.
Now that we're passing through the forest, I'd like to have my sword already drawn just at my side.
Okay. Just before you enter the woods, you can on the breeze, on the wind, you're catching the smell of something dead.
That does not bode well.
No, it's just nature taking its course. We're fine.
You care to
What?
say anything on the metal, Druid?
Druid, you got any insights? You want to check anything? Send your
Yeah, I'd like to send the dog up. Tell Kip to go ahead and see if he can, find the whatever's making that smell.
Okay.
And I'll follow a little bit behind him.
Okay. Kip noses at the ground and then heads right up the trail. Heads into the trees. You follow him on in.
Yeah.
Should we stay on the path, or should we go and investigate this odor, guys?
The path goes through the trees.
Oh, okay. So then we're still on the path. Okay, then I'll keep going.
Okay. Kip stops on the edge of the path, facing into the trees about halfway, about a quarter mile in, and starts to bark, look up at you. And you can see out of the grass, you can see the upper part of a dead horse. Still has a saddle on it and some gear. And it's just off the side of the road. You can see a big swarm of black flies and stuff just kind of floating over this dead horse.
How expensive does the gear look?
I'll have to get a closer look, but saddles and leather and stuff like that, those are usually worth at least a couple of gold pieces.
Halfway to a horse.
All right, Dwarf, do you want to just stomp up and take a look?
Sure.
All right.
I'll draw my axe first, but no, wait, what do I have?
Yeah, you have an axe.
Yeah, axe. I'll just draw my axe and go up.
All right. The dwarf semi-cautiously strides forward. At least he has his axe out. And you see, now that you're at the horse and you can look beyond it, maybe another 20 feet off into the grass, you can see a body of a human laying in the grass. The horse itself's throat has been torn out and is covered in deep, jagged, claw-like talon marks, especially at its rear haunches. It's one of its rear legs looks like the tendon was completely bitten through at one point. And then it just looks like a pack of something just had at this horse and killed it. But they didn't eat it.
Chupacabra.
Do we still hear other wildlife, like birds and stuff? I mean, obviously, the flies don't seem to be bothered, but we're not hearing an ominous silence, right?
No, you hear some birds. It is a little quiet here, but it's not like dead quiet or anything. And looks like the horse has been dead here for a while, a day or so maybe.
Could Tom do an animal lore check to figure out if it was killed by animals?
Yeah, he could if he wants to go up there and take a look.
Sure, I'll head up with Kip and we'll take a look.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a d20 underneath your intelligence for me.
I'm going to go up there with my sword just in case the thing gets up.
Okay. Actually, Tom, make that a roll under your wisdom.
Yeah, I made it.
Okay. The closest animal you can think of are some kind of really vicious big wolves, like dire wolves or something like that. But no, it doesn't look like a wolf to you. It's got to be some sort of monstrous creatures. Animals don't usually act like this.
Sure. Can I tell from any paw prints around whether it looks like a cat-like paw or, talons like a bird type claw?
Sure, you can look around for some tracks. Go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
3.
I'll also join in on the search for tracks.
Okay. Does the half-elf want to look for tracks?
Yeah, I should. I got a 4.
I'll just stay on the path.
5 for Gurak.
Okay. Gurak and Lothon, you both find some tracks in places that are bare of the grass and are still a little bit muddy. One track is very clearly like a humanoid footprint, but it's very narrow. It's kind of narrow and kind of curved. It looks more or less human-ish, except the toes are a little longer than normal, and they end in these deep marks like almost bird talons going into the ground.
Huh.
I want to make a guess on that, but I'm gonna.
Gurak points out the tracks to the rest of the party and asks if anyone would have knowledge of what could have made these.
When was the last full moon?
The last full moon was about a week ago.
This is.
It could be a
Yeah.
were creature of some kind. That's actually pretty good insight.
Mhm.
What were you thinking with your guy, Liam?
Well, I think it's maybe a bit of a stretch. I was thinking either some kind of were creature or maybe one of the hags.
It could be some kind of hag-like creature.
Are the tracks sort of consistent, like it was walking, or are they sporadic, like maybe it was flying and landed at different spots?
You guys want to spend a good 10 minutes on these tracks before you move on to checking the body of the guy, just to really get all the information you can out of him?
Sure, the druid will check for traps. He has no interest in the body per se.
Oh, the tracks, okay. So you invest a bit of time looking over this area. Nobody wanders by or anything like that. And let's see. Brayden, you're thinking it's multiple creatures. They seem to run on all fours. Their forward limbs end in hands like a man, except they have long claws, and their gait is stretched out like a wolf or a dog.
Okay, share that information with the rest of the party in case they know what it is.
They're kind of small.
They don't seem that small. The footprints and handprints are at least as big as a grown man's.
Okay.
And then Lothon, on some tree bark, you find a wispy piece of hair. It's about this long. It looks like something's hair was caught against the bark. And it's kind of a grayish, reddish color, but it looks like could be hair off of a person's head or a beard or something like that. It doesn't look like animal hair to you.
I'm thinking it's like some kind of. I want to say that it has something to do with the. Again, this is a stretch, but I think it has something to do with like the necrogarchy. And they had some kind of like creature things that they created.
Oh, the war gas?
Yeah, I was thinking something like that.
Yeah, I hope it's not those.
Me too.
Jagged have knowledge of that, Ed?
Yeah, it's common knowledge in the area, in the files area. There's a legend that back during the Guild Wizard days, this is something that probably Jagger would know, because he's a Pentagarchy wizard and he's studied and that sort of thing. So before the Pentagarchy came to power, the Guild Wizards had different chapters of their own, different houses of wizardry. And each house was responsible for its own kingdom. And they were supposed to guide and counsel that kingdom and help them remain wise and strong, and also to negotiate treaties and try to keep the peace between the different kingdoms. And the group of guild wizards that were established in the necrogarchy of Lang were called the Wizards of House Pale. Now, every so often, when the comet comes back, a new necromaster rises out from the undercity beneath the necrogarchy of Lang. And the necromasters are like liches. They're undead and evil and nasty. So somehow the new necromaster came along. House Pale was trying to negotiate or broker some kind of a power play, and they were lured into the undercity, and then they were caged, and they were tortured so severely that all of their intellect was stripped from them. And the necromaster used sorcery to twist them and turn them into these undead animals called the Warghasts that are fueled by their own innate magical casting ability. They can't cast spells anymore, but their magical power keeps them alive for an unnaturally long period and fuels their ability to create spawn. And so the legions of the Necrogarchy in the last war, each legion marched forth with a dozen of these Warghasts on iron collars and chains to serve the Necromasters as their war dogs, and would be unleashed into the armies of the enemy to slaughter and paralyze and change the enemy soldiers into ghouls. And each Warghast can command up to 12 ghouls.
So we need to take the head off that body like ASAP.
So if you can imagine a legion marching against you in the north here, the Pizarun Sin's legion, or 2 legions he had, would have each had 12 Warghasts, and if they had fully proliferated, 120 ghouls to use as war dogs against their enemies.
And we did find a collar and chain, right? The broken collar and chain.
Yeah, you did.
Liam, do Gelrock a favor and don't relate this information to him. Otherwise, he's going to hightail it back to the Black Pilgrim.
All right, I'm going to run over there and see if I can quickly take the head off this body.
Want to take a look at the body?
Yes.
All right. The body doesn't animate or anything. Looks like a dead Northman in his 50s. He's face down. He's got gray hair. Looks like he has a braided hair and a beard. He's wearing just a simple gambeson. His iron helm is tumbled off his head and is in the weeds next to him. His round shield is half smashed and his shield arm looks broken. Do you just cut his head off or turn him over and take a look at him first? Or
I'm going to cautiously turn him over.
okay. Looks like somebody has, with their claws or with a tool, removed his eyes and his tongue.
Jesus. All right, and it wouldn't have been animals because his face was down on the front. So, yeah.
The moment this information comes to light, as my dwarf knows nothing of the Necrogarchy, we will immediately assume that these are wolves who have learned how to do witchcraft. And I will draw my shield and say, if you hear howling, run.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm going to take his head off.
Okay. Cut off his head. Do you share this insight with the other people like Jagger and Gurok and Braden at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna inform them that I think there's a connection between the collar that we found at the campsite and what happened here.
Okay.
Rock turns towards Jagger and says, "Tell us of your mission again to this village, because I don't know if we have the capability to take on one of these Warghasts. Not with our current experience."
Savella thinks that there could be some sort of arcane involvement, and she asked me to sniff it out. She didn't seem to think that there was any Necrogarchy influence, and I think it's still too early to say. We should err.
Are you for real? This is what Gurok says.
Braden, your character, the druid, has some insight on this corpse.
Awesome.
So, you know that the clerics of the Everflame and some of the other orders of clerics, priests, have not a real high-level spell, but a higher-level spell that allows them to speak to the dead. And they can ask questions to a corpse or ask it what it has seen. But if you cut out the corpse's tongue and its eyes, the spell won't work.
So I relate that to the rest of the party. So whoever did this clearly is intelligent. This wasn't any sort of animal, or if it was a Warghast, it was its master who did this.
The wolves have learned.
Well, Gurok turns towards Jagger and says, "I believe this has been well sniffed. I think we have at least enough information to return back to your master and report that there might be a Warghast on the loose in this territory."
Braden would like to look, see if the horse either has a blanket for its saddle, if there's a blanket on it, and
Yeah.
try to enlist some of the other party members to help me dig a shallow grave and put this poor fellow to rest.
There's a blanket. There's a saddle. There's a bridle. There's a saddlebag. The saddlebags have been opened and are empty. He has on a gambeson, which is just a little worse than leather armor. He has a helm. His shield is broken, but he has an axe. And his shield is red and silver. No devices, so he wasn't anybody of like real consequence, but he's got an armband on that's got the armband kind of comes around and it ends, and one of the things looks like it's the head of a raven, and the other one looks like it's got a ship symbol carved into the side. So he's a sworn man of somebody that you think owes fealty to the city.
What?
Jagger is going to suggest that we pick up the collar on the way back.
What is his armband made of?
Oh, his armband is made out of bronze.
I will.
You want to take that?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm taking this
Okay.
for identification purposes.
Okay. Identification at the bank to give
Gurak
me money.
smiles at the dwarf and says, "That's my job, stunt." Junk.
Listen here, folks. Let the old timer show you how it's really supposed to be done. And I reach for it.
All right, so you bury him in his gambeson helm and axe, basically.
Yeah, unless someone wanted the axe, we'll go ahead and do that.
Do you want to
I
take?
will also take the axe.
You'll take the axe, okay? Do you want to take his shield, or you do want to hang his shield off a nearby tree as like a marker?
Actually, that's a great idea.
So I have a question for you, Ed. I'm assuming you're tracking time.
Yes.
And everything that we're doing is consuming time out of the day. Approximately what time is it in the game world?
It is 11 a.m.
How long will it take to dig a grave?
Oh, it'll take maybe, with all of you working on it, maybe half an hour.
Gurak is definitely not helping.
Okay, so maybe takes you an hour if there's only a few people helping.
Wait, can I help? I mean, I only have one arm. So, not much digging potential there.
I'm a dwarf. I can make up for it.
Yeah.
You can stand.
Yay, dwarf.
Yep. All right, so it takes you about an hour. You bury this guy. Is that all you do? You want to say any words over him, Druid, or anything like that?
Oh, yes, I'll give him the blessing of the ragged cloak and wish his soul off to Valhalla or wherever it's going.
Okay.
I turn towards the druid and say, "In the future, mind yourself, druid. I put people in graves. I don't dig them."
I will. I'll say a few words. He was a human, and he died horribly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poetic.
Okay. All right. So, anybody want to do anything else? You want to head back to town, or you want to? You are now 3 miles away from Langerklif.
I really.
Well,
I say we make it to a town quickly, or else the wolves will get us.
I think that Sabella needs to hear this information immediately. We can't delay.
My knees are going to be hurting soon. So, let's go.
All right. You
Wait.
head back to town.
So wait, are we heading back to the main town, or are we going to Langerklif?
Ed, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to go down the line of players and get a sense of what the party wants to do.
Sure. Tom, I think I've heard a lot of people say they're afraid of what's happening and they want to head back to town.
Okay, but we're so close. Aren't we more than halfway there to Langerklif, or no?
Hey, you're more than halfway there. You've traveled for 5 miles.
Oh.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we go all the way back? I mean, isn't Savella looking to know what happened with the fire? I'm not sure this has anything to do with the fire. It might, but
It's true, but this information is disturbing to say the least, and it could have immediate consequences if we're not quick.
We have guaranteed pay if we deal with the fire. We do not have a guaranteed income of money if we don't.
I
What do
guess
you
you're up,
think?
Alex.
What do you think, Old Man Witherspoon? Do you want to travel the 3 miles down to the village and check out what burned down your house? Or do you want to
Yeah,
turn tail and run back to the town?
which will take longer.
Yeah, which will take longer.
And it's
Uh,
uphill.
Oh, well, I built that house, so I might as well secure revenge for my very hard-earned investment.
Okay.
I'm with the wizard personally, says Gurak. There's no profit in a burned village, and I think that we know the answer to what has caused devastation in this area. But it seems as if the party really wants to risk their necks for nothing. I won't leave you abandoned.
Helping others is not nothing.
I think the majority opinion wants to check out the village, so I guess that's what we're doing. Huh, guys?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Jagger realizes that it won't really be safe for him to travel all the way back on his own, so he will stay.
Okay. All right, you emerge from the trees onto just more open ground. Let's see. Several small streams of water burbles past, and under a short covering of planks, a small bridge of sorts, but too small to be significant. The wind plays her fingers through brown-green tufts of grass, rustling it, and with invisible fingers causes the bone of a dead Northman hanging by a gallows rope held in a nearby tree to spin. So as you merge out of the trees, there's a bigger tree on the other side, and it looks like there's a very old skeletal corpse hanging from a noose from that tree. Well, old enough to be from last year. All that's left hanging is one arm, the chest, spine, neck, and skull. All the rest of it is sort of decayed and fallen into the grass at the foot of this hung individual.
Hey, Witherspoons, we got a replacement.
Yeah, exactly. We got a replacement.
All right. Anybody want to do anything there, or you want to keep going?
I say we keep going.
Okay. Travel a couple more miles, and you're at the front of the village. So let me see. I don't know if it's possible for me to share my screen. I think it is. Let me see if I can pull up a graphic here. All file folders. Maps. Albeek. Okay. There's that. Thanks for your patience, guys.
No worries.
There's that. And all right. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yes, we can.
You see my mouse on here?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you're coming from this side of the village of Langerklif, and to these gates.
I will try and see if there's any place that says tavern. And then jiggle my pocket and realize, there's nothing in there. And then I will not walk towards the tavern.
You'll look sad. You'll think about it, and then you'll look sad.
Hey, you can borrow from me, but I warn you, I have interest.
Well,
All
out
right.
of character, wonderful illustration. Is that yours, Ed, or did you commission that from someone?
Oh, that's mine.
Beautifully etched.
Oh, thanks. The gate is closed. You see two more Northmen guards standing post outside. They both have spears, and they look pretty alert. They just kind of watch you as you walk up.
Is the gate? The gate is closed, right?
That's right.
All right. Hey, beards for brains, let us in.
This one guy with this bright blonde hair, you know his name is Bjorn Silverhand. Bjorn says, "Witherspoon, back so soon, eh?" Says, "It looks like you've brought some friends with you, at least.
Hmm.
I didn't know it was possible for you to have friends."
I didn't know it was possible for you to grow a beard any larger, but here we are.
He glowers at you.
We're not with him.
The short guy next to him, who doesn't seem to be able to grow a very good beard, who's got kind of brightish red hair, says, "What's your business in the village, eh?"
Jagger's going to step forward and say, "We're investigating the fires for the Pentagaki."
"Oh." Says, "All right." Gives a whistle, and this woman who's been watching you from the watchtower next to the gate grabs a hold of a rope and just kind of slides down the rope and opens the gate from the inside. And just to the inside of the gate, you can see the remains of 3 longhouses that have burned down. Straight ahead, you can see a pretty fancy-looking building, kind of built in the fashion of the kingdoms of the south. Okay. But then there are some traditional Viking buildings. They're surrounding some kind of a large standing stone in the center of the town, which looks like an altar out in front. And then on the far end of the town is what looks to be like the chieftain or earl's main longhouse. And Old Man Witherspoon, you know that the guy who is in charge here is named Earl Horick. And he is somebody who has sort of barely tolerated you in the past.
Is his name Earl, or is that his title?
Title is Earl Horick. Earl is the title that I'm using for like village headmen, just local small-time chieftains. Since, you know, Ospik is about the size of a regular county, and the king of Ospik has an army of maybe 300 men. You know, kings and earls in this part of the world, you know,
Scaled down.
very, very much smaller. An earl might have, you know, 10 or 20 men that reports to him.
Gotcha. Do I recognize the altar as being of any one of the particular religions? Maybe mine?
No, and that's a little, you do recognize it, but it's not your religion, which is a little disturbing. Let me just get to
Burn
that.
the whole village down. No, just kidding.
That's right. What number is that? Is that 5? All right. That's a Corby stone. It's covered in hag signs. So the most ancient ruins of this entire land, the original religion where the men worship the hags.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yep.
Does the druid relate this to the rest of the party? What he sees from the altar?
I probably not good to comment about this in front of the other inhabitants. So I'll tell when we're alone. I'll let these people know about that.
Okay.
Could you put a footnote there? Because Garak has a follow-up once he has information about the altar.
Sure. So the guards get out of your way and they say, "Well, you're welcome to go talk to the Earl if you feel that that's necessary, but, you know, We assume that you're here under the authority of the Pentagarchy, who's the allies of the king. So let us know if we can help you in any way, wizard.
Well, we want to know if you found anything, of course. We'd like you to escort us to the site of the burning. If you could do that, that would be great.
All right. They take you over to the burned remains of Old Man Witherspoon's house. There is sadly in ashes, all of the things that he had so lovingly created, whittling. He had whittled all these small statues of, deer and beaver and,
Myself.
himself in different heroic poses with an arm.
Yeah.
But sadly, those are no more. But while you're all standing there, a small crowd is sort of gathering behind you. And you look behind you and you see a dozen village children.
No.
And
What is the rabble all about?
one of this little girl comes up and stands right at the feet of Old Man Witherspoon, looks up at him and says, "Oh, did you make any more? Did you make any more deers or duckies? Can you carve me a ducky?"
Aww.
And she says, the head fell off of Princess Piebald here, and maybe you could fix it for me. And she's holding like a rag doll with this wooden carved princess head with a little crown and, some
Great.
hide hair. And, Old Man Witherspoon looks completely like this is not information he really wanted any of you to know.
Sure. I'll see what I can do.
But sit down on a rock near the stone and the big stone and just kind of work on fixing her doll.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to be doing.
Kurok snorts and says, the last thing the party needs is a frickin' toy maker.
Yeah, his toys aren't even made of the real toy material, stone.
They're not toys, they're action figures.
If you can dodge a ball, you can dodge this ball-shaped rock. All right.
Says the adult man who collects miniatures for a hobby.
So let's see, Loth, Jagger, what are you looking for in the rubble? How are you searching?
Well, I'm beginning around the perimeter. See if I can look for footprints. Any particular anything that's not supposed to be there.
Okay.
Kurok assists the wizard.
Okay.
Iron Toe will try to assist the wizard.
All right. Iron Toe is busy looking for valuables in Old Man Witherspoon's burned down house.
Yeah.
Not find anything very valuable. But Gurok and the wizard, not at Old Man Witherspoon's house, but at the very furthest house, the one closest to the gate, you find a little bit of sap, and you find some white powder that you smell, and it smells like brimstone. And you realize that what you're looking at is the spell components for the spell component version of Magic Missile that you know how to cast.
Well, then.
It's like an older version of the spell that you know how to cast it without components, but the first time you were ever taught this spell, to make it easier for you, you were told to, carry with you this sap and then this burnable chemical material. And
Where are the Corbies?
Corbies?
Yes.
There's one of the kids. They're following you around. There's a few of them with all of you. Just one or two of them.
I will recount the tales of the bravery of how we got to this town. Heavily exaggerated. Apparently, if you catch in, we fought a dragon.
Awesome. They're very interested in your tale. They definitely are rapt in attention. But this little boy, he's well, not real little. He's maybe 10. Um, says, Corby, we're not supposed to talk about them, but they don't come through here very often.
Have they come around here recently?
Nope. The only person that's come around here is that nice old man, and the girl next to him kicks him in the ankle and says, "Shh." He says, "Oh, yeah, he's and she pipes up and says, "Oh, he's just a harmless old tinker that has come through and then is gone now."
Really?
They nod.
Well then.
I let the children pet Kip because they can't resist a cute little dog, and ask them when the tinker came through and see if it jives with soon or right around the time that the fires happen.
The kids look really uncomfortable about talking about the old man, but one girl will say, "Oh, he's nothing but an old busybody. He comes around here and pesters people every once in a while. I think the last time I saw him here was a couple days ago, 3-4 days ago. He was talking to you, Kella." And she says, "Nuh-uh." And he says, "Yeah, I saw you out there by your papa's field. You were doing some work, and that old man came out of the woods and talked to you." And she said, "No, he didn't. He never did. You're a liar." And they ball up their little fists, and pretty soon they're rolling around the mud, throwing punches at each other.
I bet my 1 gold on the blonde one. I say.
Okay.
I try to break them up and tell them to settle down.
All right. They settle down.
Well, it's too early to say, but I'd hate to think that these hedge wizards are recruiting again.
I'll push my luck and ask him if the old tinkerer, had a name, or is there something you call him by?
Grandpa? And everybody goes, "Shh." And they say, "Well, it's nice to meet you. Yes, thanks for fixing our doll. We better go do our chores now before, I get in trouble with my pa. Yeah, my mom will need me." They start to kind of break up, sort of reluctantly. Some of the shine having left you guys, and also they just seem really uncomfortable about talking to you about the old man.
As a previous local, would I know anything?
You remember seeing an old man, now that you mention it. Not that you'd really been paying much attention.
Yeah.
Because, people come and go from the village, not real often, but with fair regularity. Merchants and different folk, right? And you remember seeing an old man dressed in kind of a faded white robe out near the edge of the woods one afternoon. And he had, 3 or 4 of the village children gathered around him. He looked like a storyteller or something. He looked pretty harmless.
Yeah, I'll tell that to the group.
Well, that puts us in a precarious situation, because surely these people will warn this apostate. I'm uncertain how to proceed.
I say we find him, and then we show that wolf what's what for.
The wolf again.
Yeah.
He's convinced.
As far as he's concerned, all the wrongs in the world have been done by wolves now.
So, the village does have activity in it. You can hear somebody working at the smithy over here. There's a smithy. And you can see, adults moving around some of these other buildings, cooking or going about their tasks. Nobody's really approaching or challenging you, though.
Gurak tries to seek out that guardswoman who we saw earlier to question her about the incident with the village.
All right.
Do we see any sort of watering hole? Is that upside down ship a watering hole, or?
These are just ships that have been pulled out of the lake.
No, I mean the big one. It looks like. Sorry, it looks like a ship.
this longhouse that's like a ship. That is the Earl's longhouse, and typically it's a mead hall. So it's not an inn per se, but you probably could go in there, and hospitality rules might dictate that the Earl talk to you and give you some mead to drink and something to eat.
I was looking more for a place where I could buy a round of drinks and maybe loosen some tongues.
No, there's no tavern.
Jagger would like to climb one of those guard towers
Okay.
and see if I can catch anybody wandering off in a suspicious direction.
Okay. Climb up this ladder, and this girl's there. She helps you up. She introduces herself as Sigvold.
Sigvold.
Mm-hmm. And you look around. The only thing you really notice is that there's this quite obvious hole in the palisade fence over here. It looks like some of the poles have been pushed over.
Can you tell me anything about that? I point to the hole.
Oh, yes. The night of the fire, something pushed its way through the wall. None of us saw it. It happened in the dark. It was a foggy night, very thick fog. And I'm not sure what kind of a beast or a man could have done that. And and then there was the fire, and we tried to put out the fires, but we had some trouble.
Well,
I asked Witherspoon who his neighbors were that also had their houses burnt.
Neighbors were... Let's see, 6. Avir is one of your neighbor. He was the potter. And right now he's living with one of the other families in town.
How do you spell that?
Avir. And then Naza, who's a widow, and her daughter, who is only 8. Her husband died in the fire. And then there's some children staying with a woman named Torvi, whose parents both died in the fire. So several people died. And Torvi's waiting for her husband to come back. He rode to the city to tell the king that there was trouble and to send somebody to help investigate the hole in the wall and what had happened.
Any possible relation with that corpse we found?
Probably.
Well, I never liked him much, so.
Just because he had 2 hands, that's pretty prejudicial.
Come to think of it, Torvi did have a red shield, and maybe it was red and silver. It was hard to really recognize him as torn up as he was.
Well, one of you are going to have to talk to the widow or whatever.
Well, who has the armband? The dwarf, right?
Yeah.
Iron Toe.
Yeah. I'm not giving it up. It looks nice. Well, I guess.
That took a lot of
Good
convincing.
So should we go to Torvi and show her the armband and see if confirm whether or not it's her husband?
Wait,
Was her husband?
hold on. That means the king doesn't know.
Correct. Unless he got it on the way back.
Yeah. But his stuff was gone through, so.
Now, word has reached the town somehow that there was a fire.
Oh, fair.
Although some of that might have just been the guards on the walls of the town looking out over the valley and going, "Hey, look, there's a fire in Langerklif."
And then me complaining about it, probably. But yeah, seems to make a lot of sense.
That's true. And you had no trouble returning to town. Witherspoon.
Well, I think we ought to go to her house and just confirm or not confirm, and maybe she knows something else, some other clue that might help us out.
Okay. All right, so Torvi lives in. Oh, Torvi's over here. She's the smith.
Oh,
Okay. See over there, and there's this strong, tall-looking woman working the blacksmith forge. And she stops as you approach and says, "Hi, can I help you?"
E. Torvi?
Yes.
My dear maid, I feel we may have some bad news for you. Is your husband around?
No, I haven't seen him for a couple of days, 2 days.
I elbow the dwarf.
You're
I will. I'll like say, oh, and then I'll take out the bracelet from my bag. Well, it's more of a sack. I was too poor to afford a bag.
right. You're carrying this sack attached to a pole over your shoulder, basically, because you're too poor to afford a backpack.
Yeah. And I hold it up, and I hold it in two hands, and I slowly offer to it, kind of, all sad like, and I say, "I'm sorry."
All right. She throws her hand over her mouth, gasps, and falls to her knees and buries her face in her hands and sobs. "My dear sweet husband is dead."
And so we explain, trying not to be gory, about the scene we found, and I assure her that while not a follower of the Corbys, I did give him a proper burial.
He says, "I don't follow the Corbys either." He says, you mean that stone over there?
Yes, I just assumed since you have the altar to them.
That was built when this village was constructed. This village was built by people who were refugees from Bolgrad when it was raised by the Wraith King quite a long time ago, generations ago. And they're the ones who set that stone up. I guess they were praying to the Corby or to the hags or something. But there may be a few in this town. I suspect there are a few who have dark leanings, who still make offerings to the hags. But most of us won't touch the thing.
Can you answer me a question concerning that skeleton hanging from a tree out in the woods?
I think I know what you mean, yeah?
What do you know of it?
Oh, well, when our good king defeated the warriors from the kingdom of Raider last spring, after the battle, he had all of the dead of Raider put on carts and his captives, and he hung them from the trees from one end of his kingdom to another and made a law that no one is allowed to take them down.
Good tastes.
Well, I appreciate that.
Aye.
Now, is the king a Norseman as well, or has he come from the south with the other groups that came up?
He's a Northman. His name is Gudbrand. Let me see if I can find a picture of him.
He's Gudbrand the Cruel, right?
Right.
Charming fellow. That's why I decided to move here.
Let me see here. Okay, let me try screen share again. So that is Gudbrand the Cruel. He's missing his eye.
It's like a badass.
Yeah. Got 2 hands though, so.
Yeah, that's a point against him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he doesn't wear Pat, so he's not that cool.
Hey, Tom, whatever you did to your microphone, you sound a lot better today.
I think it was my Bluetooth headphones that were giving me problems, so I'm using a different set of headphones today.
Yeah, you sound awesome today. Good catch there, Wyvern.
Has Garrock tracked down that guardswoman?
Yeah.
All right. When he finally tracks her down, he asks her if she or any of the other guardsmen have any information to share about the fire that destroyed part of the village.
He says, well, I did see something, and I told the Earl, but he didn't believe me, and honestly, I don't know that I believe it myself.
What did you see?
She glances over his shoulder at the group and says, I don't know, I hate to say, I don't want to get someone in trouble who's innocent.
Garrock takes out a gold piece and says, will this assuage your fears?
We arrest Witherspoon.
What?
She'll take your gold piece, but say, I'll tell you, but not for the gold piece. But I'll take it, because I'll need to drink after this, and this will help pay for my mead. It was a little girl.
And 3 dogs. All right, so what the guardswoman saw fleeing from the village the night of the fire was a little girl.
No. It was, there was a little girl, and she was standing outside of one of the houses, and she was saying something, whispering something. And then this fire just came out of her, this blue fire. And then I was so shocked that the next thing was even more disturbing. It was almost like another girl, just like her, crawled out of her shadow and ran off into the darkness.
That is super creepy. Does this ring any bells with Jaggard?
No, she's not telling this around Jagger. She's only telling Gorak this.
Okay, all right. I ask her, well, for one, I tell her, yeah, I'd need a drink if I saw that too. I've seen some strange things in my lifetime, but nothing as creepy as that woman. Did you recognize the girl? Is she one of the inhabitants of the village?
It's one of the younger girls. It was hard to see in the darkness. I only caught a glimpse of her outline when the fire left her body, and then it was dark again. But it was one of the younger girls, I'm sure of that.
I'm entirely unsure of why I care about any of this, but would you be able to help us track down the girl that you might have seen? This could be important to saving the village. Again, I don't know why I'm trying to save this village, but here I am trying to save the village.
He says, I've told you everything that I know. I know that I'm sure it was one of the younger girls. I don't think there's any way I could track her at this point. It's been more than a week since the fire.
Any distinguishing features the girl had, her hair color, anything that you could tell me?
It was dark.
Okay. Well,
They're all blonde.
She was young. She was not a teenager. She was a young girl.
Well, this sounds like dark magic and might point us in the right direction. You've done us a service. Enjoy that gold in your drink. Upon getting this information, I seek out both Jaggard and Breeden, the two magic users within the group, and share the information with them to see if this means anything to the spellcasters.
Okay.
All right. So unfortunately, I missed a little bit of that info.
So go ahead and Wyvern relate the story to him.
Yeah, so the guardswoman on the night of the fire, the only thing that she really remembers, well, she saw something that horrified her, and what she saw was apparently a little girl who whispered something, and upon whispering whatever she said, one of the buildings in the town caught on fire. A wall of fire emerged out of nowhere. And after she apparently cast some kind of spell, a second girl made out of shadow pulled out of her body and then fled into the woods. Did I recall that correctly, Ed?
That's perfect.
All right. That's what the guardswoman saw.
Is there a henge nearby?
You would have to ask the druid.
I'm gonna ask the druid that.
And do I need to roll for that, or?
No. By henge, he's kind of asking if any of the druids of the henge have a holy place nearby. You know that there's a major one that was mostly raised by Gudbrand's grandfather when he immediately came back to power. It's in the Old Woods, north part of the Old Woods, northeast of town, and it's got to be like 30 miles away.
Okay, I relate that information.
But you also know that if it's a holy place of the druids of the henge, they may well have them in the caves underneath the city.
Ooh, well, I also relate that as well.
I are confused. You meaning that this druidic order might have a stronghold within Bolgrad?
Possible. They used to worship Pazarun Sin as their god, and he ruled over the evil kingdom of Asmorgar for 150 years. So in that time, they could have easily have built like a shrine or a henge kind of a structure in one of the caves underneath the city as a place to revere him and worship him and listen to his orders and that sort of thing.
Okay, so there's two possible locations, one 30 miles away from this village, one within the catacombs of Bolgrad.
That you know of, like just off the top of your head. Yeah.
Right.
Could be the Barrow, too, but we're not going there.
Not without a high-level cleric, that's for sure. Well, Jagger, this is your mission. Do you push on further? I mean, do you have... this is what Garrock says. He turns around towards the magic user and says, your mission, how far do you think we are in fulfilling it?
So Jagger, one of the things that you've been told, magic is really, really dangerous. And you've been told that if somebody dabbles in magic who's not properly trained, but is gifted enough to be able to accomplish like casting a spell, that they might be able to get away with it for a short period of time, but inevitably some horrifying, awful thing will befall them. And that there are a lot of different words for it, but that could manifest as something called a fetch, which is like an evil doppelganger self that could come into the world to do horrible evil and create a whole chain reaction of evil, bad awfulness.
Like that. Bad awfulness.
Kind of think the grunge. That kind of a spirit.
Okay. How would one identify the presence of such a spirit? Probably need a cleric, right?
Cleric would be helpful, or typically when those things are active in an area, they are evil and want to murder and kill. So you have, have there been any other deaths or disappearances or murders?
That's a good thing we should ask. I also think that we should probably set up shop here for a minute. See if we can find anything else.
Liam, do you share this insight with the rest of the party?
Absolutely.
Okay, Gurok asks Jagger if there's a connection between the evil spirit and the original host.
Yeah, you think there would be a link of some kind.
Well, in that case, it might help us to see if we can identify just who exactly this girl is from amongst the children in the village.
Well, that young girl, Kara, seemed extremely agitated when we started asking about the Tinkerer.
The one who
You
said
get
it
a
was her
badge.
grandfather. That's who we should be investigating.
Let's split up, gang, and search for clues.
I really enjoy this. It reminds me of the village of Hamlet, the classic Temple of Evil adventure.
Cool.
Much better, of course. I prefer this adventure over that module.
I'm glad you're having a good time, and thank you. That's high praise. So, you want to go look for that girl?
Well, the thing is, so I'm thinking, like, we don't want to terrorize all these, children and, all this kind of stuff. But if we have a good hunch of which of the kids is involved, we'll want to keep a watch on, like, their house at night, probably, and, see if anything happens. I think if we're directly confronting children, we're going to meet some resistance, especially, under the authority of the Pentagarchy.
True. Well, Gurok turns towards Breeden and says, I don't have much stock in your kindness and compassion. I personally feel it's a terrible weakness that will get you killed one day. But in this situation, I think it might be to our benefit. You have
Yes.
a way with these children. Perhaps you could see who amongst them this girl could be.
Well, I think the children are very nervous, especially if this girl, but I was planning on donating a good share of my money to the village anyway to help the people who were displaced, who lost loved ones in the fire. And I think I'll start with Torvi, and perhaps she can give us some insight about the children, especially this particular young girl.
Excuse me, could I get a part of that donation?
My goodness,
Well,
I
if
love
you-
you.
You were displaced.
Was.
All right.
You'll have to speak to Torvi about that.
Torvi has kind of pulled herself together, and she's just kind of sitting on a bench in her forge, and she's kind of turned things off, or has sort of paused her work so that she can kind of collect herself and think. And she's holding a red shirt in her hands, just kind of running it through her fingers, looking thoughtful. She's not crying anymore. It looks like that passed pretty quickly. Looks like she's pretty tough.
Sure. So I approach her and ask her very softly, "Your husband's?"
Yes.
Well, I'm so sorry we couldn't have done more for him. But I do think that the Order of the Ragged Cloak would certainly like to help out you and others who have suffered because of what has happened. Because we certainly believe that what happened to your husband is connected somehow to the fires and to the damage to the palisade. So I would like you to accept these coins on behalf of your village and distribute them as you feel is correct, because you seem like a strong leader and someone of very good and high morals.
How much do you give her?
I give her 10 gold coins.
It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot for her. She says, "Oh, you're so kind." She says, "Sit." She pulls a bench in front of herself and gestures at a pitcher. She says, "There's nice clean water in there.
Thank you, my favorite beverage.
Rest yourself. She says she starts pulling a strip of cloth. She bites the shirt of her husband and pulls a piece of cloth off and gathers up some sewing stuff and reaches out and is going to go ahead and sew that into your cloak. If you let her. I think you're muted, Tom.
Sorry. So as gently as possible, I try to steer her toward the children and ask her if she's noticed any strange behavior in any of the children. And especially, and I mentioned that girl's name. I didn't quite get it. It's Kara or Kira or
Kala? Yeah.
Kala.
Well, Kala's been in a very dark place ever since her father disappeared. He went off with some friends hunting for Lord knows what. I suppose he was thinking he was going to search around someplace, stick his nose down some hole, and come back with some gold during the slow part of the year for fishing. And he never came back. And I think she's realizing that her father may be dead. She's been very angry.
How long ago was that?
Oh, a month or so ago. Yeah.
So I asked her if she noticed any other of the children behaving strangely or, we had heard that an old tinkerer had come by and spent a lot of time with Kala.
I've heard about that old man. I've never seen him myself, but my work keeps me in the walls for the most part. I think some of the folk who work out in the fields more have seen him occasionally. He doesn't seem to want to talk to us much.
So he spends time with the children more than anyone else?
When he's not being run off, yeah. I think Jorg the hunter set his dogs on that old man once he warned him off and saw him coming back to talk to the children, and his dogs chased the old man into the woods. Jorg said that man moved fast for his age, and both of the dogs were killed.
Oh.
So since then, people have warned the children to stay away from that old man, and the villagers won't go near him.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate all the information you've shared with us.
Sure.
And my blessing upon you and your family.
Yes, thank you, Druid, and may stars light your footpaths, and you get your usual +1 for the rest of the day for doing a good deed and getting somebody to follow the old traditions.
Yay,
Awesome.
Tom.
So I find the party and relate everything I've found out from Torvi and suggest maybe we search out Jord and maybe we can have Kip try to pick up the trail of this old guy.
Hang on a second, guys.
Okay. Well, Kip could probably try to find the trail. It may only be a couple days old. He might be successful with that.
Yeah, if we can find Jord and find out where he chased off the old man.
Okay.
I mean, is anyone else up to that, or do you want to start asking questions to other people? The Earl or someone else?
Iron Toe is like, first, whilst he saw the transaction of gold go on, and he looked at it like someone was trading away thousands and thousands of dollars to someone else, and he wasn't in on it. So he kind of looks down at himself and thinks, man, I'm poor. And then he tries to go see if there's a dwarf in town.
Okay.
You go
Right.
commiserating?
You'd wander in the direction of that house that doesn't look like it belongs here, thinking, if there's going to be a dwarf living in town, he's probably going to live in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, you guys go to the longhouse closest to the gate. That's where Jorg the hunter lives. And he's there. And he says, how can I help you, strangers? It's really thin, really tall.
Explain to him that we're looking for that old man he chased off, and maybe he could tell us a little bit more about when and where that happened.
Well, that was 3 days ago out by the woods, just near that little woods just past the hanging tree. I have a place I like to hunt up there, and my neighbor has a field up there that he works, and some of his children were working in the field. And that old man had come back. We'd warned him off before. But I never thought an old man could move that fast. He was quite spry and quick. Ran off into the woods, and I sent my dogs after him, and then heard a horrible noise, and my dogs were killed. They were just had their throats torn out and slashed and chewed apart by the gods know what. I have no idea what killed my dogs.
Just like the horse.
Just like the horse.
The plot thickens.
So anyway, I stay away from that old man if I were you.
Sounds like good advice.
Thanks for the warning, George.
Can I help you in any other way? Are you here to solve the problem with the fire? And
We are.
I think I know who's behind it.
Who would that be?
Albus, that no good for nothing lazy Albus from Bolgrad.
Dumbledore?
He built that house over there, and he lives with that beautiful younger woman doing Lord knows what in that house of his. He's some sort of artisan from outside of these lands, from the south. I think if anybody's behind the bad in this town, it's that foreigner Albus.
Oh, has he done other things other than living in sin?
Well, nothing that I've seen him personally do, but he's a painter. He's an artist.
And a foreigner.
You can't trust those people.
Yeah, I
thank
can't
him
trust
profusely.
them foreigners.
Sebastian, your microphone is muted, by the way.
I am,
Sebastian,
If
you go
I-
over to that house and you knock on the door, right?
yep, full confidence.
All right. All right, the door opens and there's a dwarf standing there. He has black hair, carefully braided, and bright green eyes. And he's got the tattoos of a Red Hills Clan dwarf, although you're not from the Red Hills Clan. He says, "Oh, hello, brother. What brings
Hello,
you,
brother.
what brings you to this town?
Work?
You must be thirsty. Come on in."
Yes.
All right, so Iron Toe the dwarf alone disappears into the mystery house with the black-haired dwarf, and the door shuts behind him. Clunk.
Think we should do something about that, or
He's getting tattooed for sure.
We'll come back to you in a little bit, Sebastian.
Got it.
All right, you guys want to do anything else?
wait.
What time of day is it now?
It is 2:30 in the afternoon.
Shorts, was it? Does a dwarf live in that house?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a servant of that good-for-nothing Albus. Goes by the name of Gilligan. What a ridiculous name.
Sounds like a dwarf name to me, but yeah. Dwarves. Short, pint-sized, ridiculous, nice beards.
He lives there in Albert with that woman that Albus lives with shamelessly, that woman Lily, or whatever her name is. Foreigners in our town, dwarves.
Yep, those darn foreigners.
Next, we'll be having half-orcs come rolling into this town, and by thunder, we'll stone to death any half-orc we find in these walls.
Rock raises his eyebrows.
Here, here.
All right.
Well, I think we may have sufficient information
Mhm.
to return to the Pentagonarchy. It is certain that this magician of the forest is dangerous on a level that we most likely shouldn't approach.
But we are famous rat slayers.
Awesome. All right, so you're gonna go look for your dwarf and get ready to
Yeah.
head back to town.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Is everyone in agreement?
Sure. Can we
Yeah.
get back there before dark?
Before heading out, though, I'd like Lathon to have a close look at the standing stone.
Okay. Looks like there are a few small offerings left on the table, a few silver coins, and some flowers. It's covered in these kind of old-looking, just cut with a chisel, straight-line runes. There doesn't seem to be any pattern to them. They're just kind of covering in a chaotic mass over the stone. You see some carvings that look sort of like figurines you've seen in the past that are made out of clay that are like obese women with no features.
Yeah, the Venus of I can't remember.
Yeah, that's sort of the symbol of the hags.
So I share with everyone, including Gurok, since I know he's somewhat interested in this, about what I learned about the hags and this altar that it was created many years ago when the village was founded and people were fleeing the Wraith King. But most of the villagers don't worship the crones, but there may be the odd person who does, and clearly there's some offerings here. So
Yes.
Nice fire.
Gurok stares into the fire while he listens to the druid's tale.
I like it. Very fancy, Wyvern.
Why, thank you.
All right, so Sebastian,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yeah.
having some really nice. The dwarf has an actual keg of dwarven ale that he's brewed up, and he treats you to that. And he's got some old, not old, but some spare ribs left, and he makes you a plate of coleslaw and spare ribs, just like your mother used to make. And while he's talking to you, this beautiful, like 10 times beautiful young human woman comes downstairs. She's got tan skin, and she's just got this healthy glow about her that you don't think you've ever seen on a human before. Just looks really healthy and alive.
Probably the dwarven ale.
Yeah, that's true. And Gilligan says, oh, this is Lily. She's a friend of Albus who owns this house. Albus isn't here right now. He only comes back to his house every few days or so.
Ah, well, this Albus, what's he like?
Oh, he's nice. Lily sits down next to you. He says, oh, he's very kind. He's very kind to these villagers. He's a painter from the south, very famous. And you notice that there are these portraits hanging all over in his house of people. Most of them look like noblemen or high-ranking priests or powerful warriors or things like that. This house is just full of portraits.
I will be thinking, man, this Albus, man, he sounds like such a cool guy. And I'm gonna probably, tell him, well, which clan are you from?
Oh, I'm from the Red Hills clan.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. That's so nice to meet your acquaintance. How are you? He says. You look a little down on your luck. Your weapons look a little worn. Could you use a little help from a brother dwarf?
Oh, yes, Yes, I could use a little help, actually.
Well,
But-
I'm paid to watch over this house. I'm Albus's guard, and he pays me pretty well. He says, maybe he could use a second guard. Should I ask him?
Yes, but currently I'm in a line of work, and it's pretty good, but I will definitely be returning if, per se, anything happens.
Well, you know, you're the only other dwarf I've seen in months.
Same here.
So here you go. He reaches into his coin purse and he counts out 5 gold pieces and gives them to you.
This increases my wealth 500%.
He says, "Well, that'll at least keep you in some ale and some food for a while you figure your next step."
Yes, thank you, Brother Dwarf. I think I should probably go find my company. They are humans.
Yeah, impatient. All right, so he sends you out and you head back to your friends.
Did you know there's a dwarf in town?
Gurok says, "Oh God, not more of you."
I like this town a lot more now. I think we should come back.
Excellent. All right, so you gather your friends together. You think you're going to make it back to town by about 5 o'clock, and it shouldn't start getting dark until maybe 6 o'clock. So you have a good hour.
Excellent.
All right, so you start heading back.
Just a quick question here. The dwarf on the way into this village noticed a portion of the valley that we passed through that had what looked like boulders that could roll down and squash unwary travelers. Right, Ed?
Yes.
Did he relate that to the rest of the group, or did he keep that to himself?
I kept it to myself, but I think I'd probably tell you the second time coming. I'd say, "Oh yeah, those up there, they totally would have killed you."
Gurok says, "Well, in that case, why don't we take a path that brings us around those rocks? I wouldn't risk crossing them once more."
Just give them when you go back, give that little area a wider berth.
Yeah, even if we have to stray off the path a bit, that's fine.
Okay, that sounds pretty
A
fair.
big ambush sign pointed right at those boulders.
Okay. All right, you're headed back. You go up the hill for 2 miles. You don't really run into anything. You see the hanging tree up ahead, and you're passing the hanging tree. And go ahead and roll a d6 for me, Liam.
All right. That is a 3.
Okay, you guys aren't surprised. What you what you see is there's that dead, just skeletal head and rib cage and arm dangling from the rope. You see these little girls' hands come out of the mouth of the skull and push the skull open, break the skull open, and this black-haired, looking, soaking wet waif of a little girl about 10 years old tumbles down onto the ground in a heap at the foot underneath the skeleton, and then rises up with her hair hanging down over her face, obscuring her eyes, and her little white hands turn into fists.
Gurok hides behind the door, making himself very small.
I will. The dwarf will say, "Oh, it's one of the town's girls. Are you lost?"
Initiative.
Oh,
You
Captain
can
Obvious,
roll
that little
party.
dwarf.
I say, even though I waver a little bit, obviously seeing what just happened, but trying to save face.
Well, it's not a wolf, right?
That's right. What'd you roll there, Liam?
What was that for magic missile?
Initiative.
Initiative.
I will let you get your magic missile off.
Here. 5.
5?
Wicked.
Okay, I rolled a 5 also, but Ty goes to the party. So
Yes.
you get your magic missile off, and go ahead and roll damage for your magic missile. I think we're losing Liam a little bit here. He's kind of like starting to freeze on me. So we know what Liam's guy's doing. He's casting magic missile. Let's go around the table. Tom, what do you guys want to do? What does your character want to do?
I'm going to use my sling and try to sling her before she gets any closer.
Okay, go ahead and roll a hit.
How about far away is she?
She is 30 feet away from you.
Oh, that's close. A 10? I don't think that's going to hit.
Misses her. She just kind of sidesteps out of the way, and the sling bullet misses her. All right, Wyvern, what do you want to do?
Let's see. Is there a way to get around her? Can I do an action that sort of begins to get me into a flanking position on this creature?
You can try to circle around her if you want. It's basically a big hanging tree with just one corpse in it. She's at the foot of the tree. There's kind of tall grass around it, and the woods is a little further up the road. But right around here, all you have is the dirt path, some tall grass, and that tree.
Okay, and she hasn't come forward, correct? She's still standing at the tree.
She's you got initiative, so it's your action.
All right. What's the AC? What's the highest AC we have in the party currently, guys? Just out of curiosity, Sebastian, Alex, could you let me know what your ACs are?
My AC is 4.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Alex, you know your armor class?
3?
Well, that's really good. Is that the one-armed guy?
I don't think that's a 3.
Yeah.
I think
4
it's
maybe.
a 5. What's the number next to the 5?
16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have a pretty good armor class.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in partial plate.
Yeah, I bought plate mail.
Yeah, he's in plate armor.
Good for you. You're going to need that with that one.
Yeah.
So, and I have a question for you. When it comes to backstabbing, how do you handle it in according to OSC?
You have to be unaware of you.
Okay, so she's definitely aware of you, correct?
Yeah.
I take out my two-handed sword, and I advance to attack her.
Okay. Are you going to move halfway and hold an action?
Yes, so.
Okay. All right, Dwarf, Iron Toe,
Yes?
what do you do?
I will draw my short sword and my shield, think
Okay.
about what I've done in my life, make peace with it, and run at the girl.
All right, so you close with the girl. That's pretty much your full move is to move up with her, but she's now in melee with you, okay? Let's see, Old Man Witherspoon. The dwarf has bravely rushed in. Are you going to not let him upstage you and move into combat too?
I may be old, prideful, but I'm no fool. I'm going to take one of the 10 knives I have on me and throw it.
All right, roll the hit.
Mm-hmm. 16.
Okay, you hit her. Go ahead and
Oh,
roll a d4 for damage.
4.
Do you have any pluses for strength? Hi, Liam.
+1.
Okay, so you do 5 points of damage to her. All right, Liam, you want to roll for your magic missile? I don't know if you can hear me. You're sort of freezing up again. Oh, man.
Yes, I rolled it.
Well, there you go. We have it in chat. Liam says magic missile deals 4.
Okay. If you want to try turning off your camera and just roll with voice chat, that might help you. And I'll bring up chat. Okay, magic missile is 4. Oh, excellent. So the magic missile impacts her, and you do see like a burning effect on her body from the magic. So you do think that the magic missile did hurt her, and the dagger does stick into her. All right. Let's see. Wyvern's holding his action. Tom has used his sling. Liam, magic missile. Okay, it's her turn.
Oh, God.
Okay. Sebastian,
Yes?
rolled a 19. I hit you.
Oh, yeah, you hit me.
All right. Roll a d20 versus what would this be? P, like for paralyzation. You want to roll that number or higher? Let me know what you roll.
I got an 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she looks like she's going to try to move past you, but she's not able to kind of overwhelm you like she had hoped. She just backhands you. You take 3 points of damage, and she hit you so hard that you like stagger back a few steps. If you had failed your saving throw, she would have sent you sailing 10 feet through the air onto your back.
Oh, wow. That's a long distance for a dwarf.
Yep.
It's one powerful little girl.
That's no little girl.
It's a wolf.
All right, Wyvern, want to roll initiative for the party?
Sure. Okay. D6. Here we go.
Yep.
I roll 4.
All right, I rolled a 5. She gets to go again.
By the way, I have a initiative bonus. So, like, is it +1 or -1? How's it work?
No, it's only if you're running individual initiatives. Like if you're by yourself and you're rolling initiative, then you'll get that bonus. But when it's party initiative, it doesn't do anything for
Got you. Okay.
you. Okay. Dwarf, make another saving throw.
Awesome. 12.
All right. You take 3 more points of damage.
Nice.
How many hit points do you have left?
I've got 4.
Okay, you're pretty tough.
Yeah.
All right, you go sailing back through the air and land on your back with an oof about 10 feet away from her.
Ugh.
All right, let's see. Liam, what do you want to do?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good now.
All right. So I'm going to have Lathan take a swipe with the short sword.
Okay.
And Jagger is just going to kind of run away.
Jagger might still have that other flask of oil that we had. So I think the magic users each had one, right?
Nope.
And he
Both of them
should
were
have
bought by Zuxon.
Oh, he used both? Okay.
Okay. All right, so go ahead and take a swing there, Lothan.
All right. So hits armor +8.
Hey, you miss.
Okay.
All right, Tom, what you gonna do?
It's sling time again.
Okay.
$17.
Okay, that hits her.
Oh, 4 points of damage.
All right, you hit her.
Dodge that.
Whack. Hits her right in the head. Moves her hair to the side. You see kind of a black skull coming through her skin, and her one hateful little child eye is staring hard at you through her disheveled, wet hair.
But it seemed to hurt her, right?
You seem to. She's the spitting image of that little girl, Kala.
Yeah. But it's not like she's ignoring non-magical weapons. It looks like it's actually doing some damage.
You think?
I think. I mean, that's all I can do is think.
Yep. Wyvern, what do you do?
I attempt to cut her head off with a swipe of my two-handed sword.
All right, so you finish closing, and then you chop her head off with your two-handed sword. Go ahead.
I try. All right, big rolls. Let's go. Oh, you wouldn't believe what I just rolled.
A natural 20.
7.
Oh, my God. Dang it. She's shorter than you would have expected, you know. You're just not used to aiming so low for a head. All right, Alexander, what do? You chop her with your sword?
Old man Witherspoon will think that he's got this in the bag, and so he looks at his bag, pats the garlic in it, and he's like, all right, I think I might be invincible. And then he runs at it.
He's already engaged. Go ahead and roll it to hit.
Oh,
Oh, no, wait. You threw a dagger.
yeah.
Right.
Do you want to throw another dagger, or you want to charge in?
Listen, he's got garlic. He thinks he's invincible.
All right. So you charge in.
Yeah. Mhm.
You can just make it there because you're in plate armor. So you're
Yeah.
like old man bones and aching joints. You kind of crash and rattle your way across the grass over
Yeah.
to next to the girl.
I hobble with incredible speed.
I didn't know that he had plate armor. Now he reminds me of the Man of La Mancha.
I know, it's great. Sebastian, your dwarf is looking up at the sky.
I'll think, she's got a vicious right hook. And I'm going to back up and run at her the exact same way.
All right, so you're able to close again, and you can take a swing at her.
Awesome. I'm going to use my short sword. That's with bonuses 17.
That's a hit.
Awesome. D6.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 8 damage.
Wow.
I got max.
Oh, big damage.
I'm
Okay,
very-
you chop into her with your sword, and this kind of black ooze comes out of her body, and she stares at you for a second, and her mouth opens really, really, really big, and all this hurricane of big black flies comes out.
Oh.
I need, in her action, that's her action, she's going to make a magical attack. Sebastian, you need to make a save. Alex needs to make a save. Gorak needs to make a save versus spell. Anybody who's within 10 feet of her needs to make a save versus spell.
Ooh.
Is it meet or surpass or just surpass?
Meet or surpass.
Okay, I meet.
Okay, great.
Warwick has a save of 15. I rolled 12. I don't make it.
Okay, so you miss it. What about you, Alex?
I am 13 under what I need.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have garlic.
Yeah.
I know.
I know. What? Why didn't that work?
All right. Old Man Witherspoon, you take 2 points of damage, and you are blinded
Oh.
for this.
And I knew it happened eventually, but this is very inopportune.
Gorak, you take 3 points of damage, and you are blinded.
Oh no.
All right, it's initiative for the next round. Sebastian, you want to roll a d6 for the party?
Yeah. I got a 5.
Yeah, I also rolled a 5. Tie goes to the party. All right, we'll start up with Sebastian this time. Sebastian, what do you want to do?
I will try and swing my sword again.
Okay, see if you
Thinking
can hit.
it worked great last time.
It did.
Oh. 6.
You miss. Old Man Witherspoon, you're blind. You can make an attack roll, but you're at a -4 to whatever you roll. You kind of know what direction she's in, but you have a penalty.
Okay. Let's do this. With my one arm and one sword, I'm going to bring down some old, crotchety, and cranky justice.
You
Okay.
got this, cripple. You can do it.
2.
You miss.
Oh.
All right, Gorak, it's your turn.
All right, I'm at a -1 because I got that legendary strength going for me. And
Awesome.
I roll, oh, not bad, 15.
You hit her just barely.
Yahoo! I get to do my D10 plus 3 damage.
Holy smokes, Gorak, you're a destruction machine.
It's spinning. It's spinning. It's still spinning. 7 plus 3, 10 points of damage. Booyah! Booyah, take it!
How do you want to do this, as they say on the other podcasts?
Oh, well, it's always DM's choice for me.
Oh, do you want to take her head off?
Why not?
All right. Gorak is fighting off of these flies that are biting into his eyes and around his face and stinging him, and he's like, rah! And he does this mighty swing and chops through the neck of this whatever it is, and this head goes falling off into the grass, and then the body just kind of topples over. Clunk.
I hate flies. That's what you get, wench.
It looks like you dispatched it. We're out of combat.
I'm going to sit down and
You lived. Nobody died.
Yeah.
That was lucky.
Yeah, that D10 roll was amazing.
That saved the day.
When they hit, two-handed swords are awesome.
Yeah. You all did some damage to this thing. You had to hit this thing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to kill it. It's a lot for first levels.
So
Yeah, we graduated from rat killers.
yeah,
That was not a rat.
now we're Ringu killers. This is out of character. This is not something that Gurak would, connect with. But I wonder whether slaying this sort of apparition would have consequences back in the village.
Good question.
Let's leave and not find out.
All right. So anybody want to do anything with the body? I guess Liam's out maybe he's out for the count.
Yeah, let's burn it.
Let's
Okay.
search it first.
Is it like a real body, or is it just like a?
It's a little girl body without a head laying in the grass.
But it has clothes and stuff.
Yeah, it has the same clothes that Kala was wearing, as far as you can tell. Although they don't look like the same clothes, but on closer inspection, they almost look like they're made out of some kind of web or seaweed or some kind of weird organic material. You can't even quite place it.
Yeah, I don't want to touch her. If the dwarf wants to, that's fine.
Iron Toe will look at her, think about it, and said, "Didn't we see this kid in town?"
Yes, it's the girl we suspected, Kayla. I suspect that this thing is the old man.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, maybe mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless the old man just put it in her.
I mean, whatever set the fire, it was probably the old man. Iron Toe has no idea.
Gurak takes out one of his sacks and deposits the decapitated head of the creature inside it.
Okay.
I walk very far behind the half-orc.
Now, which way are we going? Are we going back to the city or are we going back to the village?
If you go back to the village, you will be there at night. You'll be there before nightfall, but you won't be able to reach the city before nightfall.
Yeah, Gurak really does not give a damn about the village, but the player Wyvern is very curious about what could have happened to the little girl. And I need a nudge from the party to get us going back to the village.
Iron Toe will say, "Well, I think I know a place we could stay the night for little to no cost."
But I think we should ask Liam, since, or whatever his character's name is, because Lothon. No, isn't Lothon the elf? The half elf?
Jagger.
Jagger, yeah. I think we should ask
Really
Jagger.
good thought, Tom, but Liam's actually not in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. Okay.
Yeah, Jagger, unless he shows back up, you look around and Jagger's not there, and you're thinking neither is Lothon. Maybe they ran for it.
Cowards.
Gurak turns towards the druid and says, "What now, strange man?"
I'd rather not be out at night, so I'm certainly in favor of heading back to the village if you want to.
Okay.
Gurak begins heading back to the village with his trophy.
All right. You head a couple of miles back to town. The sun's starting to go down. It's getting darker a little earlier. The cloud cover's kind of thickening up. And as you reach the gates, it's already starting to snow a little bit.
Gurak realizes he still has that healing potion, and God knows what's going to happen next, so he pops it and drinks it.
Okay. It heals you for 3 points damage.
Yahoo! Max.
I'm going to see him drink the healing potion and realize I don't have any.
Gurak drinks it very slowly and cinematically in front of the poor boy.
Savoring it.
Letting it run down the side of his face.
That's right.
That's
Whipping
hilarious.
my hair, my face back and forth while droplets of healing potion spatter.
With your tusks glistening in the sunset.
I'm gonna say, yeah, you can afford a backpack. Yeah.
I'm gonna drink some wine out of my wineskin.
Okay. All right, so you guys make it back to town. Do you want to just kind of suspect that Jagger's going to do whatever he's going to do, or do you want to go over and follow up with the chapter house and see if they'll talk to you? Or do you even want to talk to those people? You may not even want to have anything to do with them.
We've arrived back at the village, correct?
You're at the town. I thought you guys were going back to
No. We asked to go back to the village. I think
Oh,
Tom.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
I want to go wherever we could reach by nightfall.
Well, you can reach Bolgrad before nightfall. You'll still be getting there by about 5 o'clock.
Oh, I thought you were saying we couldn't anymore.
Well, if you turn back to the village and walk the 2 miles back to the village, by the time you reach the village, you really won't have any kind of room left to make it back to Bolgrad.
I got you. Yeah.
That's
But we did decide to go back to the village. So
okay.
we're in the village.
So it's about 5 o'clock. You're back at the village. It's starting to snow. And Dwarf, you were saying that there was a place you thought that they could stay?
Yes. I'm going to go up to the house where they say Albus lives.
Albus's house, okay, and knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this dwarf opens the door. Hey, it's you. And you brought company.
Yes. They can drink well.
All right.
We need a place to stay as we are a bit short on coin, and wondering if it would be okay with your master if we stay here the night.
Oh, well, he's not here, but it's all right with me. I'm sure Lily won't mind. Come in. So he lets you
You're
in.
most gracious, Sir Dwarf.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're a druid, one of the good ones. You're very welcome here.
Thank you.
So Gurak goes in and bids Breeden to come near him, and deposits the decapitated head on the nearest table he can find, and points at it and says, "Doesn't this look familiar to you?"
Keep that foul thing away from me. It does. It looks like poor Kayla.
Shouldn't we see if we can? Wouldn't it be wise to check on her?
Do you take the head out of the bag, or do you just?
I roll it out into the table.
Goodness gracious me, says Gilligan the dwarf, and he pushes back. He's startled with his chair. He says, What?
Oh,
He reaches for a long knife on his belt, and he's like, "You murdering children?"
I will.
He takes a closer look at Gurak, and he says, "It's a filthy half-orc."
I will, trying to save face with my fellow dwarf.
My God, you're right. It is a half orc.
Yeah. I'm going to draw my
All the
sword.
party suddenly realizing who
Yeah.
Gurak is.
Thought he had a bad case of acne.
What did you want to do? What did you want to do, Sebastian? We covered you up.
I was going to, look at this, think, oh crap, and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, it is a half-orc. You fooled us with witchcraft.
All right. Gilligan's got his long little knife out in front of him, his hand shaking a little bit, and he says, "What is that on the table, and what business do you have bringing such a foul thing into this house?"
Gurak smirks at the dwarf and says, "Take a closer look, dwarf. That's no girl. That's some kind of fell beast. It might be responsible for the fire that began this town last week. We did you a favor."
All right. Who wants to calm down the dwarf? Anybody want to try to do that?
I will try. As the resident dwarf expert.
All right. So, what's your charisma?
11.
All right. Go ahead and roll 2d6 for me.
Add them together.
Yeah, and you don't get any bonuses.
7.
Okay. He still looks unsure, like he's not quite buying all of this.
All right, I'll try.
What's your charisma?
I have a 6.
All right. So is that a -1 or a 2?
That's a -1.
Okay, so you roll 2d6 -1. Now if what you roll equals a 2, he's going to immediately start attacking. Just so you know. Roll 2d6 and add them together.
8.
Okay, total of 8. Okay, he's still unsure.
Hmm.
Anybody else besides Gorak? Does the druid want to try to calm him down?
Okay, I can try, but I'm the same penalty. I have a -1, so.
Oh, awesome.
Ooh, 10 minus 1 is 9.
Okay. He's still not moving. He seems really unconvinced. He says, all right, well, even if it's not a little girl, it's still a hell of a thing to come in here with and just sit boldly on my master's table. Put it back in the bag and put it away.
We apologize, Sir Dwarf. Our friend here is not very well mannered. However, if you ask the tower guard, Sigurd, she'll tell you that she saw this creature the night of the fires. Or Sigvold, I'm sorry.
Says, well, okay, but yeah, I don't expect him to have very good manners. He's basically the offspring of an orc or maybe a goblin.
Watch yourself, dwarf, says Gorak, as he picks up the head and deposits it back in the sack.
I will try and clean up any mess that it made on the table.
Okay.
Shame.
All right. All right. You hear footsteps on the stairs and hear a woman's voice say, Gilligan, what is the problem down here? What is all this ruckus? And this beautiful human woman comes down the stairs. Go ahead and roll a d20 under your wisdom there, Braden.
Okay. 5.
Okay, you made it by a lot. That is not a human woman. That is a dryad.
Oh, so cool.
Only you notice that, Druid.
Right. Well, I'm not going to say anything in front of her. I don't want to embarrass her and make us look like idiots.
Well, she meets your gaze and just sort of stops on the stairs because she knows that you're a druid. And she just sort of seems a little bit on edge.
Oh, on edge, really?
And
Why, don't druids get along with dryads? I thought they would.
She does, but maybe she doesn't want people to know she's a dryad.
So I see that in her eyes, so I definitely won't say anything.
Okay. She goes around behind Gilligan the dwarf and rests her hands on his shoulders and kind of pats him to calm him down. He seems to calm down a little bit. So you're sort of in this hunting lodge kind of downstairs of this house in this big open room. There's a really nice hearth with a roaring fire going. There's a great big table you've been talking around. Really nice furnitures and furnishings in here. There's like an open kitchen attached to it with big kegs of, dwarven ale and wine and different things like that. And instead of, the typical hunting lodge animal heads on the walls, there's just these beautiful paintings, portraits hanging on all the walls. And so Gilligan says, so you need a place to stay. Well, the half-orc can sleep by the fireplace over there. The rest of you can have rooms upstairs.
Guruk sneers at the dwarf and says, "I have no need for your fireplace." He has the name of the girl, correct, from Breeden.
Yeah, Lily.
He turns towards the party and says, "I'm going to find the guardswoman. There's a little bit more to do here." And with that, he departs out of the door and seeks out the guardswoman.
Okay. All right. You don't see the same guardswoman at the tower or at the gate. It looks like they've changed the guards for the night watch. So you're not really sure where that particular guardwoman is. Maybe in the Earl's Hall is where you'd find her.
I inquire about her whereabouts with the standing guardsman.
Yeah, she's in the mead hall, probably.
Okay, I head in that direction.
Okay. All right, it's starting to snow pretty good. The sun has just gone down behind the mountains, so it's getting dark. And this a lot of cloud cover and stuff. It's fairly dark. There's not any street lights or anything out here. I mean, you can see, but mostly because you're half orc, okay? And so you're walking. It is a good 100, 200. It's almost a football field away to get from the Albus's front door all the way over to the mead hall, okay? And you don't really see very many people outside. You see a couple people out front cooking something over by the big stone thing. You don't see Torvi out by her forge. It looks like she's gone inside. You see some torchlight inside of there. And you make it all the way over to the mead hall. You poke your head inside, and there's 10 warriors, an older warrior, what you think might be his wife, and then some children sitting around like a long table eating. And you recognize that one of them is that girl.
Okay, I approach the girl and say, her name was Sigvald. Did I get that right?
Sigvald, yeah.
Sigvald. I tell Sigvald I've returned and I need to speak with her privately.
Okay. She takes you over to kind of like a corner of this. The chamber's really big, so kind of a corner of the hall, and says, "We can talk here."
Okay, I relate to her details about the attack that happened to us on the road, the creature that we defeated, and I tell her that I have its decapitated head in this sack, and I'd like to show it to her.
Wow, what a first date.
Yeah.
Got a
like that
child's head in that sack?
Is that it?
You got a child's head in that sack?
We have a monster's head in this sack. I did tell you that it tried to kill us.
All right.
Can I show it to you?
Well, you better keep it in the bag, but open the bag, I guess.
Yeah, I carefully open the bag and allow her a chance to sort of get her eyes on the features of the creature.
I don't recognize it, she says.
This does not remind you of the apparition that attacked the village a week ago?
No. Well, it's a skull the size of a child's skull, she says, but it's black and covered in goo, but I don't recognize who it might be.
That foolish tree hugger Breeden believes it matches up with a girl by the name of what was the girl's name again?
Kala?
Kala.
She says, well, look at it yourself. Does it look like Kala?
I say, we believe that there is a linkage. The girl that you saw that night could have been Kala.
She points in the bag. Do you look in the bag?
I look back in the bag, yes.
Okay, so most of the hair has fallen off away from the skull. All the skin and features has sort of melted away into kind of a black ichor. And all you, at this point, you have now is this black material that's made like a skull. And you see little fragments of it kind of just like floating up into the air.
Huh. Like it's disintegrating before my eyes, huh?
Slowly, yeah.
Well, I ask Sigvald, I say, I know the hour is late, but but I think it's very important that you bring me to Kala as soon as you can.
She says, "All right, that sounds wise. I need to talk to the Earl, though. Kala Kala is staying in the longhouse next door to that strange building in town that belongs to the painter. Do you know the one?"
I do indeed.
Okay. She is staying there as a guest in that house. If you want to go and talk to her, that would be fine. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to the Earl and see what the Earl wants to do.
Very well. Then that's what we'll do. If you could, once you finish talking with Earl, please come and reunite with us at Kala's home. I'll be waiting for you there.
Okay.
I seek out the rest of the party. I tell them that the skull is slowly disintegrating and that it's important we check on Kala next door.
Okay. Meanwhile, you guys are eating and drinking, I guess, and chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm going to talk to Lily and kind of schmooze up about the artwork and let her know that her secret is safe with me.
Okay. She nods. She's like, "I really like Albus. He's very kind." She tries to make you understand that it's not what people say.
Oh, I totally believe that, but I'm just curious. How can you stay in a house and away from, well, your normal place of abode?
I don't really stay away. I just spend time here too. Because Albus is my friend, and I'm friends with Gilligan here. And there's something happening in the town. I'm worried about them both. I don't really understand what it is, but something is not right in nature in and around this town.
In what way? Other than the strange creature we saw that took the shape of a girl.
I can't put my finger on it, but there's a presence in the woods near here that is not right.
The woods as you head towards the city?
That and all the woods around here.
Oh, all the woods.
Yeah.
And that I explained to her about the corpse we found and Torvi's husband.
Oh, that's horrible, she says. She says, Druid, you know that there has been something causing evil in the old woods to the east of here. And whatever it is, I think is creeping closer to the city. And now it's gotten to here.
Adventure hooks.
I don't hear you, Druid.
Tom, you're muted.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying anything. I just was trying to think of what else to say. I say, well, perhaps me and my companions can investigate. But unfortunately, we lost two of our party, and we're hoping they made it safely back to the city. We didn't know if they would come back here, but it seems like they went on ahead.
I hope they're all right.
Or they're ghouls, one or the other.
Oh, that would be horrible. What a horrible fate. Don't even say such things. And then Gurak comes in from the snow outside. The door kind of bangs open and Gurak's there and tells you, the skull's disintegrating and we had to talk to that girl next door. Grr.
Grr.
Yay,
How?
you're back.
How intoxicated is Iron Toe?
Not even. You got
Okay.
a long way to go. You got a long night of drinking and singing dwarven songs with a dwarf you haven't been able to sing songs with before.
Yeah, not very interested in the girl next door right now. But I like money. So I guess I'll follow the people who have made me some money.
All right. Is everybody
You
gonna
actually made money? When did that happen?
Oh, well, I mean, the adventurers brought me to this town, and then the dwarf here gave me some money because we're friends now.
That's right. I forgot the dwarf gave you money.
So
All right.
now-
So Alex, what do you want to do? Do you want to go next door and talk to the girl?
Sure. I mean, old man Witherspoon, he's pretty sure he's seen everything now and feels like he's ready for everything. despite the fact that the garlic he bought at a higher price was a scam, but that's fine.
Okay. All right, so Gurak will go. The dwarf will go. Braden, will you go with Gurak or?
Sure.
All right. All right, so the four of you are getting ready to go, and you hear, as you're heading out the door to head next door, which isn't very far away, it's a longhouse that's only 60 feet away from you. You can see that it looks dark. There was a fire flickering on the inside. You could see sort of through the furs covering the door before. It looks dark now, and you hear quiet sobbing coming from inside.
Uh-oh.
Does it sound like a child sobbing?
Yeah.
Oh dear, we should probably get there quickly.
And is Sigvold here anywhere in sight?
No. Not yet. You rush over and
Yeah.
check out the longhouse there, Old Man Witherspoon.
Yeah, I'll go up and knock on the door.
Well, it's just a fur. So you just throw back the fur.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So it's dark in there. The hearth that's sort of built into the floor is all out. Even the coals have gone cold, which is not something that typically happens like instantly.
Mhm.
And inside you see the bodies of a family kind of jammed into the thatch and into the walls, just in bloody chunks and pieces, all filling this place with carnage. And then sitting in the middle of the floor is Kala, the little girl, and she's crying.
This is a terrifying adventure.
Braden's immediately leaving to try to find help.
Yeah.
Okay, so Braden starts walking, fast walk in the direction of the main longhouse.
Yep.
Iron
Anyway.
Toe will look at the girl, think about what just happened a few hours earlier, and draw his sword.
Okay. Old Man Witherspoon, what are you going to do?
And sort of be in shock, but then be like, oh, well, I'm going to see if the girl's okay, and goes in.
Okay. And then
Oh.
Gurak, what are you doing?
So, kind of out of character for Gurak, he approaches the girl and tries as much as possible not to frighten her as usually a half-orc would, and gently cuts her chin and lifts her head up to him and says, "You have a story to tell, girl, and you have nothing to fear from me. I kill the bad things. What is going on? Tell me the truth."
She says, I didn't mean to do anything. And then it was here and everywhere at once. And in the movie, climbing down out of the corner like a spider is a little girl with long black hair hanging over her face that drops down on the floor behind you guys, and we're rolling initiative.
Ah, shoot.
I like how you said that in the movie.
Yeah.
Iron Toe has made a decision. He thinks that the little girl spawns wolves and must be destroyed.
Awesome.
Little Red Riding Hood.
All right, Sebastian, go ahead and roll initiative. You're pretty hurt, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I have very little HP right now.
Okay.
But a stiff breeze could kill all of us. I mean, we're that delicate of a party.
I know.
Yeah, so I roll a d6, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a 4.
All right, she goes first. She jumps on the back of Old Man Witherspoon
Ah.
and latches her little cold hands around your throat and starts to strangle you.
Oh, no.
You take 3 points of damage.
Ah, crap.
All right. Now it's your action. Old Man Witherspoon, this girl is on your back. What are you going to do with your one arm?
Grab a knife and stab her.
All right, you grab a dagger and you're like, eh.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll a hit.
13.
You miss.
Dang.
All right. Iron Toe, what do you do? Iron Toe, what do you do?
Oh, I will look between the demon girl and the little girl. Think, it's probably magic. And swing my sword at the little girl.
What?
Okay. You're going to swing your sword at real Kala?
Well, yeah, I'm going to, I'm going to pick her up and, try and get the creature's attention.
Okay, you want to threaten her with your sword?
Yeah, and be like, hey, thingy,
Okay.
over here.
All right. Gurak, what are you going to do?
So just out of character, just for a moment here, this looks exactly like the same creature we just defeated hours ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when it appeared, was there any sort of change within the real girl Kala? Did I notice anything? Did my character notice anything?
Other than she's freaking the hell out and scared, no.
So it doesn't look like she has any power whatsoever over the apparition.
Well, you don't know, but
God. Okay. I'm stumped. Give me a moment here. I gotta think about my options.
okay.
What do you guys think? Do you think I should appeal to the girl to see if she can somehow gain control over herself and this creature, or should
Well, the little girl is going to take an action.
She will take her own action.
She's going to take her own action. You're threatening her, but her gaze is focused on this other version of herself. And she holds up to her hands and she incants just like a wizard and fires a magic missile at it.
Yes.
And I drop the little girl on my next turn. That is what I will do.
And she does 7 points of damage to the
Oh,
Dude.
Okay. Since she went ahead and took her action of magic missile, I draw my two-handed sword and do what I do best and try to decapitate that thing.
don't chop my head off.
Don't roll a
Oh,
one.
that's actually a really good point. If I were to attack, would I risk hitting my ally?
If you roll a 1.
Okay, then I'll go for that attack. Go ahead and roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not a 1, but it's not great.
Okay.
Roll let's see, I got a 9.
All right. So, Old Man Witherspoon, that was a little too close for comfort, but you're not hit. Tom, your character is running as fast as he can for help.
Correct. Whatever's nearest, whether it's the watchtower or it's if I know there's people.
It's probably Torvi's house because she's right across the street.
Yeah, and I am not being shy about it. I'm yelling at the top of my voice, having Kit bark.
Okay. All right. Torvi comes out holding an axe, but she's not in armor.
Mhm.
And you see a couple of warriors in partial armor and stuff sort of appear in the doorway of the longhouse further down the village from you guys. It's going to take them a round or two to get to you. But Torvi's with you, and she says, "What is it?"
There's been murder. The whole family's been murdered. And I point at the longhouse I just came from.
She says, "Well, let's go."
Very well, let's go. You men, follow us.
This could be very bad for us all if they come in and see us attacking what looks like a little girl.
In a house full of dead people.
I see dead people.
I see dead people. I make dead people. All right. It's initiative time. Alex, roll a d6 for the group.
Oh boy. Oh no.
What'd you roll?
1.
Okay. The little girl goes again. She continues to strangle Old Man Witherspoon. Old Man Witherspoon, you take 2 more points of damage.
Oh God.
How many hit points do you have left?
The same thing I rolled for initiative.
You have 1 hit point left. All right.
Yeah.
Old Man Witherspoon looks like he could be taken out at any time.
And I lived a good 62 years.
All right, it's your party action, so Alex, I'll let you go ahead and go first. You can roll to hit her with a dagger again.
Actually, I'll try to throw her off.
Okay.
Kind of.
Roll a d20 underneath your strength.
5 under 15.
All right, yeah, you managed to get a hold of her by her hair and her scalp, and you throw her off of you against the wall. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Her feet hit the wall, and she just sort of stands there like Spider-Man, just unnaturally with their feet planted against the wall, like it's no big deal.
So it's like, and then I'll probably just like fall to my knees or something because dang, I was strangled 5 hit points.
Yep. Okay, Sebastian, what does Iron Toe do?
First, I will set the magic girl down,
Okay.
and considering I've already taken 6 points of damage, run blindly at the girl on the wall.
All right, you're going to try to chop her up?
Yes.
Okay, roll the hit.
Short sword. That's a unnatural 20.
Nice. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. 6.
That's awesome. You do some good damage to her. That's great. All right, Gurok. Save the day, Gurok.
Very sorry about that. I was feeding my cats. Well done on the natural 20. Who was that, Sebastian or Alex?
Unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. Well, still, it's
Yeah.
around the 20.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay,
Mhm.
I take a swing.
Okay, go ahead and
All
swing.
marbles. Here we go. Not a 1, please. Okay, God, that's good. 16, 19. Bang.
You hit.
All right, here comes the damage. Oh, rolled out. Roll another die. Oops, not so great. 5 points of damage.
All right. All right. At the end of the round, Braden and the woman sword maiden appear in the entrance of the house.
Do they see the blood and the girl standing on the wall?
Yeah. Braden, you see lots of blood. You see Old Man Witherspoon gasping for air, looking like his lips were turning blue at one point, on his knees. You see a wounded dwarf grimly fighting away, and a half-orc fighting this disheveled, black-haired, duplicate girl that's sort of standing out from the wall.
I scream, "Die, you fiend!" and I throw my spear at it.
Awesome. Go ahead and roll the hit.
That would be a massive 7. So
Okay,
I got the wall though.
You did. You got the wall next to her. Do you send Kip after her?
Sure. Go, Kip.
Where's Templeton?
I left the rats. I left both rats back at the city. I don't want to be carrying around 2 dog-sized rats.
All right. So roll a hit for Kip. Sorry.
Kip is clearly the warrior of the pair. He got a 15.
All right. Roll a D4 for Kip.
Oh, the massive 1. He's not that much of a warrior.
Yeah, but every little bit helps.
Mhm.
All right. And the warrior woman will move between Old Man Witherspoon and the monster. Like, she can see that he's almost dead and is going to try to be in the way of him getting attacked. But she's not going to close because she doesn't know what it is and she doesn't have any armor on. All right, so it's an initiative. This could be a very important initiative. Go ahead and roll there, Tom.
Roll the marbles.
3.
All right, I also rolled a 3.
Woohoo!
Guy goes to the
Yeah.
party. All right, we're gonna start with Braden. Braden, what are you gonna do?
I'm going to throw my dagger, 'cause that's all I get left.
Okay.
Oh, a nat 20. Yay.
Woo! Double damage!
Ooh.
At the top.
Druid is dominating.
I rolled a 3.
All right, you get to roll again. You get to double your damage dice.
Oh, and a 1. So 4 altogether.
Okay. How do you want to do this, as they say in the old podcasts?
Yes.
Right underneath the chin.
All right. Braden deftly unhurls his dagger, and he just, man, you've thrown that dagger a lot practicing, but it's like when you pitch a pitch and it's perfect and you weren't really expecting it to be perfect, but it's just the perfect pitch, and this thing just slides in under its chin and its eyes go dark and it just collapses in a heap onto the ground. When it falls on the ground, the little girl passes out.
Okay.
Urok turns towards the druid and says, so the tree hugger is good for something after all.
Hey, hugging trees is fun.
The dwarf will say, hey, this is just for us who were on that adventure, but didn't we kill it last time?
Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
Yeah. so-
Maybe Lily might know.
The shield maiden says, oh my god. She's like looking around, and the Earl appears with 4 of his warriors, and they kind of sort of push into the doorway, and he goes, what kind of witchcraft is this? And they look panicked for a moment, but then all of their eyes kind of settle on the druid, like, okay, this is your one chance to make sense of this for us.
No pressure, Tom.
So I just roll or brain fart, or what exactly should I be doing?
What do you say? Role play it out. How do you
Okay.
convince these guys that, you're the only priest that they have, and
Sure.
a lot of them probably worship the druids.
Mhm.
So before we role play this out, Tom, do you want to briefly talk about all the strands of evidence we got? Sebastian, Alex, Tom.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So what do we have here? What do we know?
That
Well,
somehow
there's
this creature is tied to the little girl, and is
Mhm.
probably tied to the old man, the tinkerer.
Out of character, my dwarf would not know this, but the little girl is a magic user, and she probably, with that weird pentagarchy rumor where if a wizard doesn't do something the right way, some evil part of them leaves. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
I just overheard that.
That was part of our conversation earlier in the adventure with. But you know that information because Jagger passed it on to the rest of the party.
Well, yeah, the dwarf somehow makes sense of it.
Alex, any
Yeah.
thoughts from you?
I basically know the same thing as everyone, so I can't really add anything. But yeah, main thing is, yeah, we already killed it, so twice. So, that might mean another one. I don't like where this is going.
The Earl whispers to one of his men, and they come over and they give you a little herbal potion that looks a lot like the kind that you bought from Bill and Warren the Guards, and it gives it to Alex's character.
Nice. So, how much above 1 am I?
So now you heal. It's going to take 10 minutes for the healing to
Oh.
work on you, but
Mhm.
you will eventually heal 2 more hit points.
Neat.
Guys, do you think this creature could be tied to the Druidic circle or the altar within the town, or is the connection to this mysterious tinkerer? That's sort of what I'm wrestling with. What is a stronger connection here?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, as Sebastian pointed out, she's a magic user, so I think we have to. I mean, the question is, do I want to protect her? Because if I bring her to the Pentarchy, they're going to hang her. Or do I know enough to know that they might bring her into the order since she's only a child?
You don't know. But would they be right to hang her if there's some horrible evil connected to her that they could only eliminate by killing her?
Yeah.
They would certainly turn her into a hollow.
No, she's too young.
What's that?
The only people that they turn into hallows are people who can fight.
Ah, so they might spare the girl.
But we can't take chances. We have to do the greater good. So, dear Earl, noble Earl, we found this poor young child, through probably no fault of her own, has been subjected to fiendish powers that seem to spawn these strange creatures from shadow. We killed one in the woods next to the hanging corpse, and we've killed this one here, but clearly these creatures slay at will. So it is our hope that we can bring this child back to the city and have people who are far more knowledgeable than I examine her and see if they can't remove this evil spirit from her. But I don't mention anything about her casting spells.
Okay. He says, yeah, you cannot stay in this village. She's far too dangerous.
Sorry, I had a earphone problem. Could you say that again?
She's far too dangerous. She can't stay here.
Guys, I have a quick question. In the run up to sort of the climax of this adventure, did we have information about this girl hanging out with this creepy old man tinkerer?
Yeah,
we did.
Did.
From the other little child, the other child squealed on her.
Does Gurok know this information?
yeah.
Yeah,
Gurok brings this up and adds to what Breeden has related to the Earl and says, we believe there's a connection between what's happening to this girl and this tinkerer that passed through the village. You wouldn't be able to give us any information about his possible whereabouts.
No, I don't know where he's from. He's dangerous. I know that he killed my man's hounds. And right then, the little girl rouses from her being passed out state and kind of sits up and looks around at you guys.
Okay. And we all stare at her expectantly.
I kneel down to the girl and I ask her, I say, what's her name again?
Kala?
Kala. I say, Kala, are you all right?
I think so.
Okay, well, I tell her, look, there's no way we can leave you here in this village. There's a great danger that goes around with you. You have to come with us to the city where we can better protect you.
Okay.
All right. Gurok, again, surprisingly compassionately,
Yeah.
takes the girl by her hand and begins to lead her outside of this horror-filled room.
Okay.
So we're not allowed to stay here the night, right? So we'll have to travel at night.
No.
Oh,
Could we
no.
acquire horses?
The Earl's going to make... They don't have any horses in this town.
Shoot.
The Earl is going to make you leave the town.
Okay, I guess that's what we're doing then.
Okay, well, we should probably buy some supplies,
Can we at least get a cart? I mean, we have a half orc, and that's close to a horse.
Wow!
So it's
The
getting...
back end.
It is getting towards end game time, so I'm going to go ahead and story tell this, okay?
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Tom, you wouldn't want to speak to the Dryad before we leave or before we enter this sort of end game montage?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to ask Lily about leaving the town, see if she can help you?
Sure. And also, does she have any sort of healing abilities that might help our less fortunate party members?
She does. She can cast Cure Light Wounds on everybody who needs it.
Oh, I need it. I need
Awesome.
it bad.
Mhm.
All right. So the dwarf, she heals him for six points.
Oh, I'm fully healed. Yes.
Old
Am
Man
I-
Witherspoon, she heals you for 5 points.
Hooray, I'm
Is
healed.
anybody else wounded?
Well, Garak, were you wounded?
Oh, I healed to max with that little dinky potion.
Oh, that's right. You had the potion.
Yeah. A little healing goes a long way at first level.
Certainly does.
All right. She says, yeah, I can get you very close to the town. Come with me. And she takes you down these steps towards the lake edge to where this one pine tree. And she puts her hand on the tree, and the tree kind of shimmers as the snow's falling quietly. And there's like this kind of a radiant, beautiful moonlit aura that kind of comes around this tree. And she says, you all may pass safely through my tree to one just outside of the gates of the city.
We thank her profusely. And I once again establish I will vouch for my companions. Your secret is safe with us.
What secret?
Gurak looks about him in wonder as he passes through the tree gate.
Okay.
I wipe my shoes before I go in.
All right. So it's just in an instant, you're standing in the snow. You can see the city gate really close by. And you're just on this bed of pine needles, amidst this little group of pine trees near the city gate. And you make it back into town safely with this little girl, Gurak holding this little girl's hand. And she's very cowed and does whatever basically he tells her to do. And he got her little doll that Old Man Witherspoon repaired for her, held up against her chest. All right, I think we are going to wrap up.
Yep. So, I mean, the plan is to bring her to Sabella, right? I mean, hopefully we can catch up with the other two party members. Hopefully they already made it back.
Well, it's night. Do you want to take her to the Black Pilgrim, which is safe?
Oh, that's right. We can't get attacked there. Yes, we can do that.
Also, just in character for a moment, Gurak wouldn't allow the girl to be taken to the Pentarchy without a conversation with him first. He doesn't trust him either.
Yeah, Gurak's not the kind of person who would hand over this child to be hung, right?
No, and he also has no room for organized authority as well.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking more about Jaeger than necessarily the higher ups like his
Right.
master.
Well, Jaeger kind of disappeared, so who knows what happened to him?
Right. Yeah. Gurak turns to Breeden and says, before we head over into the unknown, I suggest we reconvene at the Black Pilgrim. What say you, Tree Hugger?
I agree.
All
Tin
right.
Man? Dwarf? Any opinions from you guys?
Well, it's been quite an adventure, and I think that this Black Pilgrim sounds like a nice place.
All right. I think decided we head to the Pilgrim instead of the Tower.
So we have 4 characters here, but 6 in the party total, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Let me do a little bit of quick math here. All right. Those creatures are legitimately each worth several hundred experience points to defeat. They're tough. They could have killed you guys. But you lucked out with your damage rolls, and they didn't do so great on their damage rolls. So at any rate, you each make 125 experience points for monster experience because you killed that monster twice. And I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a 50 experience point bonus for good role playing. So that's a total of 175. Alex and Sebastian, this is your first game. And so you can replace that 175 with 350. 350 is just the welcome to the campaign. It's your first adventure. You just get 350.
Neat.
All right. I hope you guys had fun. I had a good time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ed.
Ed, do you have anything that you want to cap off the adventure with, the sort of end adventure speech, or is this it basically? We're going to reassemble the Pilgrim and pick it up on the next adventure.
No, I think you guys did really well. It was very interesting to see how you dealt with that whole situation. I am not going to give away what is actually going on. I think you guys have pieces of it, but you'll just have to figure it out over time, or maybe you won't.
Sebastian, Alex, it's just so cool that you got such a great dad. I think it's
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in a family where my father was a fantastic gamer, so consider yourselves blessed. and it was a pleasure meeting you both. I can't wait for the next session.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for playing. You guys have a good night.
Hey, we'll see you Thursday.
All right,
a good
see you
one.
Thursday. See you later.